All right, super cool. Welcome to live stream 76. We've got a heck of a group in here. A ton of old school subscribers to the channel for sure. I've got J Mac Investing, who on short fuse popped into here to help us facilitate the discussion as we round out 2019. Obviously, we're looking to turn the corner here and enter into 2020 strong. You know, when we're talking about forecasting our individual programs, we're definitely not looking to forecast where we think the market's going to go. What we're looking to do is take a look in the mirror and see where we want to take this thing. You know, there's always areas of your portfolio that you can look to improve upon. And I take this opportunity to kind of welcome everybody. I want to welcome all the channel creators that have made their way into the channel. Obviously, we're rolling out something a little bit different tonight. We're going to try to provide a little bit better opportunity for some engagement with some of the channel creators and kind of roll out this idea so you guys can get this software set up for yourself. So if you're coming by and you like the idea of how this platform works, I think it's only fitting that Jason with JMac Investing is kind of helping me roll this idea out because he's the one that introduced it to me. So Jason, you want to take a couple moments here? This will replay, and there's a bunch of people that probably don't know your channel just yet, but take the floor and introduce yourself. Tell everybody what you're about.
Yeah, well, I see a lot of familiar faces in the chat room. So my name is Jason, JMac Investing Dividend Growth Channel. So yeah, I do live streams on Wednesday nights, and I use this. It's called StreamYard, and so because before I tried to use, I used OBS, I think once or twice, and there's just so much configuration with that live stream software. With this, it's literally you get a link, and you have to authorize YouTube to connect to the service. So you give authorization to StreamYard to connect to YouTube, and man, then it's just set up, and you just get a hyperlink like Ryan is sharing in the chat there, and then you know people can join. So it's been real nice to. I've had I see Hidden Freedom Investing. I had him on this previous Wednesday night. Had a great stream with him. He's a great channel. Yeah. So pretty excited ending off the year here, and then moving into looking forward to resetting and starting over in 2020.
Yeah, I just thank you a lot, Jason. You know, I know a lot about a few things in life, investing being one of them, but the technology piece is not really my strong suit. So I really appreciate you kind of hooking me up there. I think that's what it's all about, is just kind of rolling out this capability. The live stream, I don't know, you've been running them a while, Jason. I mean, are you satisfied with the amount of interaction that you get? I think we're going to try to push the envelope a little bit and provide folks a little bit more opportunity to get a little bit more transparency, a little bit closer to the folks that are putting content on YouTube.
Yeah, well, I think I kind of roll in a circle that everybody does live streams, and we've all like jumped in and out of each other's live streams. But Matt Money, who I don't see him in the chat yet, but he kind of introduced. Is he here?
He'll be here.
He'll be here. Yeah. He and I see Jamie, Money Matters, Minds in Motion, Marie. Yeah. So, but Matt Money, yeah, man, what he's doing though is pretty neat. That he took a different take on this, and just inviting people to join in, and that concept's really cool. So I was thinking about the same thing. So yeah, great minds think alike.
I never thought about it, and I just jumped on there. And what he ended up doing, for anybody who didn't catch the stream, I would kick over and catch that piece of content. It was pretty cool. What he ended up doing was, I think, put an open solicitation out there. And he had a young kid, Dustin, who is 18 years old and was curious about investing, probably replicated a lot of other people out there who had the same level of questions coming from a super genuine place. And I couldn't help myself. I jumped on there. I think
you did?
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
It was super cool to get to talk to him because, sometimes we're so laser focused on our program a lot. We love investing. We probably, most of us have some level of attention on our portfolios from a day-to-day perspective, you know, because we are a little bit more hands-on. But it helps to draw that distinction between somebody who's brand new and coming on and feeling the confidence enough to say, hey, you know, how do you get started? You know, how do you set up a financial goal? What account should I use? You know,
Right.
It's the same old questions we get, but you know, when you put on the spot like that and you're asked to answer those questions for somebody who's really seeking out those answers at a young age, it's pretty awesome, you know. So good on him. I think it had the capability of changing his life. Straight up, I said if he were to kick into a live stream, because Kyle from Passive Investing was on there as well. A super good channel, and he had some connectivity issues and had to kick off a little bit early. But I've been catching a little bit of his content as well, even when I need a little energy pick me up, because I don't know where that guy gets the energy, but it's pretty awesome.
He starts off at 100 and stays at 100 the whole time.
He does, man. He's fired up about investing. But you got Travis Williams in the group here, and Minds in Motion. So I don't know if you've caught this beginning, but the invites will go out certainly to anybody. And what I'd like everybody to do is just kind of get yourself set up on the software like Jason was talking about at the top of the stream. That way you can have a dual potential to come into the live stream and not only
have up to 4. So like 4 people could join all at once.
That's right. That's right. I would love it, because I think there's a lot of folks who make their way into this live stream. I mean,
come on, Gen X.
Yeah, I made a joke. That's what Matt Money said to me. He's like, "Come on, Gen X," and I said, "I was the first one." He slammed. Nah, he's working his project right now. I totally respect that.
Yeah, I messed with him too.
I know, me too. I said he slammed the door in my face, just joking, you know. But I mean, you know, when he's just started, he passed over 1,000 subscribers here just recently, and I mean,
that's blowing right through it now, blowing right by it.
Absolutely. It'll start to snowball, you know. So for the channel creators, I would say this: you're kind of looking to grind in an atmosphere of a lot of financial channels. And that was hopefully what we could kind of spur the conversation in a little bit. Because I tell you what, man, there's a dime a dozen portfolio reviews out there, you know, and I would I would charge each and every channel creator, myself included in this charge, is to make sure that the message is being received, you know, and anybody who catches the messages and got a genuine interest in investing, you know, how's that going to be taken? You need to make sure that, you know, if we're just looking at a huge portfolio and we're not knowing how to start at step 1, you know, somebody's seeing what a good mature portfolio looks like, you know, take a step back and say, hey, how could this be perceived? You know what I mean? How can an individual investor look to start and maybe put a few building blocks in place to step in that direction?
Right. Yeah, because a lot of times, you know, a lot of these guys like PPCE and Gen X, because Gen X has been in the game for so long.
Yeah.
So this is something I would throw out to newer investors. Like if you're a year in, if you're starting in 2019 and you look at Gen X or PPCE, and those guys have been investing 10. I don't know how long Gen X is, but I know it's at least 20 years more. Yeah. So his entry points. So I guess let me encapsulate what I'm saying. So I've read some comments and things, and people are saying, you know, I'm taking Gen X's portfolio, and then I'm gonna create an M1 pie and invest into that. But your entry points aren't going to be Gen X's entry points. Your entry points are going to be at inflated 2019 prices.
1 share.
Huh?
1 share. You know, I get asked this question all the time. You know, how should you look at a stock? What should be your entry point? I'm kind of up to that multiple 10 block shares. You know, that's just kind of where I'm at. You know, where he's looking at 100 block shares because the portfolio is so mature that he's growing upon that. You know, so he's kind of created a monster a little bit, and that's what happened with a mature portfolio.
Exactly. Yeah. Because you saw me. I like, you know, I'm still learning myself, and I reset my portfolio halfway through this year because I was way overextended in too many positions. So I had to recalibrate and cut down. So I cut down a bunch of positions, and I'm probably still cutting down. I'd like to get my portfolio no bigger than maybe 40, 45 positions, so I can build those positions up to a much bigger balance, rather than having $100 and, $100 or $200 allocated to one share. I like to have $1,000, $2,000 per holding, or more.
Yeah, and I've reviewed a lot of portfolios too, Jason, that are kind of watered down. Folks have hundreds of, and we were just talking about the Robinhood partial shares rollout this week that they just announced. I think multiple brokers are going to go to that posture just because that's what new investors expect, but it may open the door for investors and add a little bit more of a challenge not to water down portfolios, and have 1,000 shares, in three names, I mean, it's, or 1,000 partial shares, because you could take $1 and put it on Amazon now. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. DJ asking about the best Canadian high dividend stocks, all the Canadian banks.
So I own both. I own the RY, which is Royal Canadian Bank, and then I also own TD.
Bank of Nova Scotia. There's five. They got 5 central banks, and they're all like real good dividend paying companies.
Over 4, right, Jay?
What is it?
Over 4% payers. Both.
Every one of them. Yeah, every one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
Yeah,
for sure.
And they've never taken bailouts like U.S. banks, and good solid.
They are. Yeah,
exactly. Solid investments. Yeah.
Rock on. Yeah, so I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how it shakes up, Jason. Again, we were talking before we came online about maybe this pulling some people off of the sideline, maybe getting a little bit excited about investing, maybe thinking that the stock market is even more accessible than it was before. I would contend it's pretty accessible right now, but a lot of people don't know.
Right. Well, I think when it went to zero commission, I think even long-term investors, I think they may have changed some of their habits, and instead of buying in bigger tranches now, they may buy 1 or 2 or 3 stocks, where before some older school people they'd save up $1,000 or $2,000, $3,000 because they wanted to cut down on fees,
Yeah.
Which is smart and wise. But now you can literally, one of your holdings drops down 5%, pick up a share or two to bring your cost average down a little bit.
Yeah.
You can do that now with no commission fees. So I think it's actually helping the market overall. It obviously not necessarily for institutional investors, but the people like you and me, for sure.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, when I started this YouTube channel 3 years ago, I had to find a workaround because I had way too many people coming up to me and being like, Ryan, how are you getting to trade stock or take profits so frequently, And at the time I was eligible because I was at that incentive threshold. I just got an email right before the live stream, Jay, that Merrill went to no fee unlimited.
Oh, so cool.
That's a pretty major broker up there that's also playing ball right now. So while we're on the theme, I mean, providing awareness, if there's folks that pop into the group, when I talk about breaking down barriers to entry to the market, it's just never been a better time. If you're one of those investors that haven't invested, man alive, a lot of those barriers that we had to go through, when we started investing, that they're non-existent anymore. They're just making the stock market super accessible to people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was my first thought when Fidelity and Charles Schwab, TD Ameritrade, to all of those announced. I said, man, I think we're gonna get a little bit of boost. The market's gonna get a boost just in general from that in and of itself. But and then I saw someone posted an article in a couple of different groups, Facebook groups, and stuff. So, yep.
Got to give some love to Hidden Freedom Investing for sure. He's in the group. Yeah.
Solid. He's solid guy.
For real.
Solid investor.
Hell yeah, that was cool, man. That was a cool stream you guys did, man. It's awesome. That's your last one this year, right, Jay? You're taking a little bit of time off.
I'm doing one more this Wednesday, and then I'm off for 3 weeks, I think. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. That
I'll
sounds
still make some videos, in between, but no more live streams. Because it's on Wednesday is a Christmas Day, and then New Year's Day is Wednesday too. So taking those off.
what you like better, the scripted videos or the live stream?
Uh, um,
Put you on the spot. You know,
I don't know. I mean, no, I like the live streams, but yeah, but I enjoy when I come up with what I think is a good concept for a video.
yeah.
Even though usually when that happens, when I think I come up with a good concept, it always bombs.
It doesn't do squat. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's so true, man. Hey, I got Big Ben's Road to Early Retirement as well, for sure.
Yep.
A new channel. Like to give a little bit of a shout out before we get too deep in the live stream. So, yeah, Big Ben, we've been floating some invites as well. That applies
Jump on.
to you for sure. Yeah, if you don't have,
I like to talk to Big Ben. Jump in here, man.
rock on, man. That's cool. That's really cool. Thank you, Jason. Yeah. Jason's like the relationship maker, man, for sure. Jason knows everybody. And you ever notice when you're surfing around and you see in the comments, Gen X Dividend Investor is in every single comment block? I don't know how the hell he does it.
Well, he's a bot.
He's a bot.
He automates himself. Yeah.
He's not a real human. Thank
No.
you. Somebody needed to explain that to me. He's probably laughing right now. I'm not a bot, man. Trust me, I'm real. For sure. Good stuff, man.
Quest to Fire as well. She's here, Rebecca. She's a financially independent, retire early, proponent, and she's got a great channel too.
Fantastic. That Rebecca. So your that invite goes to you too. Just try to use my platform, as small as it is. I like the collaborative effort of bringing people together. Certainly I could probably do it better than I do it, but I do the best I can. I kind of did the live stream for quite a long time, and there wasn't a whole lot of live streams going on YouTube. So I was kind of a lone shark. People were like,
on an
island. What are you doing? You crazy. You know what I mean? And it kind of morphed into this product, but I think people appreciate it. And for me personally, it's an opportunity to take a little bit of time to come on and talk about a topic that I think for a lot of people need to be a higher priority. So, I think going into 2020, I don't want to speak for the other channel creators. I definitely won't speak for you, Jason, but I think raising it up on the priority list and making it a priority, at least for my life, is a big aspect of my success for sure. So
well, I know like a lot of there's about 6 to 8 channels that with some smaller channels that I kind of network with. They all started doing it because it helps too with your watch time. So if you're a small channel and you don't have enough, because now you got to get 4,000 hours of watch time after getting 1,000 subs. So the live streams help with that. Just don't do it on Friday night or Wednesday night.
I'm just saying. Well, no, I mean, if you want to come on Friday night, you can use my platform. I mean, if you would have told me, hey, 3 years from now, you'd have, getting close to 20,000 subscribers, I would have said you're crazy, because I don't put on a show,
Yeah.
I just,
well, I'm going to say that you set the bar, because as far as the live streams go, because a lot of the live streams that are happening now or a bunch of content creators, which is fine. Other content creators, I like yours because in your chat here, there's a lot of just investors, and they don't care about YouTube. They're not making, they don't care about making content. They want to just come in and hear, good discussions about investments, and they want to chat with other investors. And that opportunity is for sure here. And that's what I'm trying to build with mine as well. I don't want it just to be all content creators. I'm trying to build a good base like you too of solid just people, not just all YouTube content creators. Love content creators, but you want to have real people that just enjoy your stuff too. So
and I really appreciate that, man, for sure. And Matt, we were filming the live stream when I jumped on there this week, and he was like, Ryan, I kicked over to your live stream, and he's like, man, I was so jealous, man. You had all these comments and this and that, and I'm thinking to myself, Man, I never really thought that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, when you come up and start putting these out there and you don't get very many views at the beginning, it's a builder's mentality, like anything. I build this YouTube opportunity the same way I approach investing. You know, one new subscriber, man, one new subscriber that hears something in your message, that's building, and I like that. I really do. I don't care if it grows slow. I think there's something to be said about the quality of growth that you get on a channel, you know?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, I've got a couple people that they don't. I mean, they just kind of chime in every couple a month, every month or so, and because they saw me talking about a stock I own and they own it as well, and they're like, I actually had someone come back and comment, and they told me one of my stocks is dropping. It's a buying opportunity. So I was like, appreciate it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly.
so just those connections with your portfolio and stuff, that's a good connection to have too,
For real. Hey Jay, you know, I know you're kind of on the clock a little bit. Do you want to talk to the group a little bit? And myself, I'm kind of curious, selfishly curious about what JMac Investing is thinking about for 2020 with regard to your goals. If you want to roll it out, I know I had a question in the thread here about that.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. I made a video today on that topic. I don't know if I can share it in the group, but
Figure it out.
yeah. If not, just go to my channel. But
Everybody here
so
knows you. So, yeah.
yeah. So I made goals in 2019, and I achieved those goals, and then so except for one, my Roth IRA dividend. So I set portfolio balance goals, and then I set dividend amount goals, and then basically my goal at the end of 2020 is to have a portfolio balance of 50K. That's really my goal, and to have around $160 a month in dividends. If I can hit those numbers, which and I think I left a little bit of room, maybe 5% out of reach, so that I have to come up with some money throughout the year. So it's a little bit out of reach, but it's reachable. So I set a goal. I set a goal not that I knew I could obtain, but just a little bit beyond. So I think that's a good way to set a goal, is to not put it way unattainable, but also don't set it right where it is achievable. Go a little bit beyond. So
I talk about those money goals, man. I think that's legit, and are you funding the account on kind of a
set schedule?
Oh,
Yeah. And I'm changing next year. So the difference between 2019 and 2020, and I talked about it a little bit, and I've talked about it a little bit throughout the year. 2019, I worked on a 1099 for about 9 months of the year. So I split my IRA. I always got questions about it, because I split IRA investment 3,000 to traditional and 3,000 to Roth, and everyone was like, "Why aren't you fully funding your Roth?" Well, I was on a 1099, and I needed every tax break I could get.
yes,
Right.
Yes, you did.
But then 9 months into the year, I got put on a W-2. So now I'm I can. So the difference between 2019 and 2020, I'm going to fully fund my Roth with all 6K, rather than splitting the two. So this coming year, my focus is going to be my Roth IRA.
Yeah, I understand your method there too. And I don't think we talk about the traditional in the group very often. It's
Right.
usually a question that I would defer a little bit more research on, because it becomes a little more individual in answering that question. And the traditional can be super beneficial. As a matter of fact, it can be more beneficial. It becomes basically a math equation, to figure out whether or not it will be more beneficial or less than a Roth, taking the deduction, taking that savings and putting it to good work in a traditional program. You can do that.
Right. You could if you had a employer 401k that was matching, and you put in, let's say, 18%, 401k, and then you put into $6,000, you can really get close to almost getting your taxable income way down,
Yeah, exactly.
So, but I think so. Dave at Hidden Freedom Investing, he made an excellent point on my live stream that he is going to wait. He has some money in I don't know if it's a traditional 401k or traditional IRA, but he's going to wait till he goes into financial when he becomes fired or financially independent, where his taxable amount goes way down, and then he's going to roll his traditional over into a Roth when his annual amount is way lower.
Yeah.
So the tax burden on the rollover is not as much.
Yeah. Is it
So that's another approach.
kind of a backdoor a little bit?
Yeah, but later, do it later.
Gotcha. Because a backdoor never gets talked about on YouTube ever. And it's completely legitimate. You're kind of getting the best of both worlds. On the front end, you're taking that tax deduction right up front. You're lowering your taxable income, maybe when you're making good money,
Exactly. That's the strategy. Yeah.
and then backdoor it later, and then
Later.
protect all that fat money after you've built it up a little bit.
Yeah. Say you go from making 150K, you get your income cut down to 75K, then do the backdoor or
Exactly. It's just all about how to do the marginal tax rate and the effective tax rate later on in life. It's pretty interesting. It becomes kind of a boring topic, to be honest with you, because people lose you.
Yeah.
I always say, man, Google it, because you Google that comparison, man, they'll run you through an actual example and answer those questions for you. They'll show you actually how the money shakes out, if you adjust certain figures. So yeah, it's a topic that doesn't get talked about too much. I have the opportunity to Roth contribute a little bit more, being a military member. So it's a little bit different for me, but to each his own,
Right. So Dave is saying it there, not a backdoor, just waiting until earned income is super low, ideally lower than 12K, then convert slowly 401k accounts into Roth. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because a lot of people are going to ask, because I'm going to continue to show my traditional IRA, and I'm not going to do a rollover because my income's too high right now. So I'm not going to roll it over right now. I'm going to wait and roll it over later.
Yeah.
So that I just know the comments that come, the questions that people ask, and that's going to be one of them. But that's going to be why I'm going to wait and hold off on that conversion until my income's not as high.
Rock on, man. Good stuff.
Yeah. Look, there's my baby monitor. I'm on baby duty tonight, so I'm gonna have to jump off.
That's not duty, man. That's life. That's life, man. Happy holidays to you, Jason. Thanks for coming on in short notice and helping me. I just can't thank you enough, man. I mean, I've been supporting you as early as I saw you. You know?
Man. I appreciate all the support. Yeah, you've been awesome.
It's the least I can do. 2019's been pretty good for you. So roll on to 2020 and good luck to you, man. We'll be there, teaming it up and working the business for sure, trying to roll out the message. Thank you, Jason.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me on. Dave or Jamie or Big Ben, tag, you're it. Somebody else, come on. I'm gonna jump off. If you aren't subscribed to my channel, go check me out. J-Mac Investing.
Thank you, Jason.
All right, later.
So one of the things that I was really trying to coin this discussion around was the what does it take to be a successful investor? It really kind of came full circle with me when I jumped on that live stream this week with Matt Money and Kyle as well. That it was pretty cool, and I want to make sure that the focus remains on anybody that comes in here and maybe they're not as engaging in the live stream and the thread that we're talking to those folks too, making sure that the message when it's received. I'm not really sure if we're not kind of breaking it down. I think I'd rather listen to how you got started as opposed to where you are now. And that's why I hesitate sometimes on the portfolio reviews. I think there's a few anomalies that run out portfolio reviews. I'm one of them. And Gen X Dividend Investor is another one who provides such phenomenal insight on the deliberation before getting into a stock. And the real takeaway from that is to know how deep down the rabbit hole you can go in your deliberation. It's really infinite. he would agree with me on this. And you can be a steward of this game, knowing that you'll never get it all figured out. There are analysts that do this for a living, and they're quite bad at it. And for whatever reason, they're sitting in the position to generate wealth for themselves and for other people. And it's something you just need to be cognizant of, and always asking that question. How the message is received. When I first started the Independent Investor channel, there was nobody rolling out portfolio reviews. As a matter of fact, to view a portfolio, you needed to go on there and join some special club, or join a group or something, and you had to pay for that. And I just thought that was crazy. Here you are, you're sending a message that you have to pay for something that's not exclusive. It's not. There's only one 3M. There's only one. And you can trip and fall into 3M, or you can go through the deliberation that a Gen X dividend investor does. I'm plugging his new video because it was quite good. So I recommend kicking on there and checking that product out, because it's phenomenal. But, my point is, just to make sure that people are really understanding how they can step into the market and not be turned off of it because there's perceived barriers to get the questioning of, I'll never be there. And that's definitely not what we want to do. We want to make the market, we want to push out awareness to such a point where people say, wow, this is crazy. There's really no excuses anymore. The cost of entry or the barriers to entry are so low that that it's absolutely conducive to getting going on this thing. So super, super important. But not a lot of moves this week, honestly, in the portfolio. It's been a very interesting week for me. What I've said is I've kind of put the portfolios on moratorium a little bit, letting the portfolios work, letting the small accounts work. Obviously, there was a couple of really interesting milestones. I took the liberty of actually throwing my portfolio into this thread. So you guys are actually the first ones that are getting access to that. So please click into it. You're going to have 78 holdings in that portfolio. M1 Finance makes this possible. So I'm using M1 Finance not only to hold my specialty ETF portfolio for you guys and kind of look to show how we can wealth build from the ground up and get to that first 10,000, but I'm also using it to compare, as I did with the Fidelity ETFs and the Vanguard ETFs. This is a common question that I get all the time through the channel. People are hitting me up, who should I go with, this and that. And that was about a 3 or 4 hour deliberation across comparison to kind of get to a little bit of a neutral perspective on the two brokers. I was able to contend that perhaps I would give the nod on half to one and half to the other when you're talking about your sector's specific ETFs or your spiders. But the ability to use M1 Finance in that capacity is pretty awesome. And I've done a little bit of experimenting on the platform too. I would encourage you guys, if you do have an account with M1 Finance, to start to really get into the back door and use those pies that you can build on your own to run some of the back testing and start to play with some of these ETFs. What I mean is a crowd favorite is SPHD, which has got 50 of the dividend holders. Well, what's prohibiting you from just going in there and duplicating the exact same Invesco high dividend paying account in M1 Finance and investing in it that way? What's prohibiting you from doing that? And it's kind of cool to use the platform in that capacity. But 78 holdings, 20 of them are Vanguard ETFs. So you guys will be glad to know I rolled that out to the community tonight just as kind of a Christmas gift. So I'm in the giving mood. I'm not one of those guys that does funny raffles and does crazy crap like that on the channel and, give away. I guess I could give away coffee mugs. I guess I could do something like that, but I choose not to. I rolled out the Henry video this week as well, which was striking at my compounding calculator example. So, it's super important to pay attention to that stuff. And that was $1 million difference. So just to kind of keep that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and share this link again. If somebody wants to jump in here, they're totally welcome to kick in here with me, guys. We absolutely want to start to blow down these barriers. And the only thing I was thinking about, you know, when I'm doing these live streams, so I just dropped it in there. And I think Dave just dropped in here, man. I'm going to get you in here, Dave. Thanks for popping on, man. Awesome. Hey, great. Thank you so much, man, for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Let me stop your stream so it's not feeding back on me real quick.
Do your thing. Actually, you're coming through on my end pretty good. So do your thing.
There we go.
Super cool, man. It would have taken me years to line these up when I first started, just for fun.
No, this is cool. Thanks for inviting me.
It's legit, man. So for my audience, man, I want to give you the floor a little bit and and for my own selfish knowledge, again, too, I kind of want to know where you're coming from, what you want out of this investment journey, maybe what YouTube means to you and who you're looking to strike your message at, you know?
My journey has been pretty interesting. I mean, I started really late. So, I mean, I first started investing in when I was about 26, but and I could even go back further than that when I got enrolled into a 401k with the place I was working at. But that doesn't even count in my opinion. Hey, there's Jamie. Sweet.
Hey, Jamie, what's going on, man?
What's up, guys?
So it was the first time I actually bought a stock on my own in my own brokerage account. That was about 26, and that was Cisco. And I didn't have a lot of money back then, so and I didn't stick with it either. I was spending more money than I made, and living paycheck to paycheck until I was 35. So I just admire some of these people I meet. People are less than 18 years old. We met an 11-year-old that's investing. So that's crazy. So I'm real excited about a lot of the people we've met over the just the few months that I've been running the channel. Yeah. And I think that just the access that they have, the apps that they have these days, no commissions, there's no reason to not be investing. So
straight up, man. Awesome. I want to ask you a few things about what you just said for sure, but I want to give Jamie the opportunity introduce himself and kind of give a little bit of synopsis about why the hell you're doing this on YouTube, man. It's kind of crazy, but it's awesome at the same time, bringing people together and talking about their experiences with investing, sharing it with others. Go ahead, Jamie.
Most definitely. Appreciate it. Yeah, my name is Jamie. For sure, why would somebody do this on YouTube as opposed to just doing it backdoors and not sharing it with the world is probably like a great question here.
So true.
But honestly, Ryan, I've been watching you for a hot minute, and I really connected with you because you are also a military member, and I think we have the same exact reason on why we share it on YouTube is because there's only one of me, but I've met probably hundreds of people that just need just a little bit of guidance or just a little bit of push to start investing. And I can only talk to 1 or 2 or 5 at a time, but on here you've got 17,000 people, maybe half of those that see every video you put out, and that's just awesome because you're almost like magnifying your message out there to all these new investors. And that's the same thing that I love to do. And I know I have my own airmen that follow me on this YouTube channel, and they might not ever comment, but I know they watch this, and I know I've set a lot of them up, hopefully 20 years down the road, I get a message from them one day, and they'll be in Dave's spot here saying, hey, I just hit, 2 commas in my bank account. Thanks. And to me, that would be worth it for all this work the whole time. So I think that's big on why I'm doing a lot of this.
I'll foot stomp what you just said, Jamie, too. The thing about it is you could spend like 2 or 3 hours sitting down with somebody who says, hey, man, I'm super excited about investing. Can you help me? You sit down with them, and it's one-on-one, and
exactly.
You get fired up, and they leave, and they do nothing. They do nothing. So this YouTube thing is kind of one of those things to where you can either consume it or not. You can take the information or not. If somebody doesn't really gravitate toward my message, maybe they gravitate toward yours, Dave, or yours too, Jamie, right? And they connect with you, and they're like, hey, man, I remember that this person, that they got me interested in the message, and I would have never been brought to the message had I not had that opportunity through YouTube. And I would say that when I first started, the YouTube opportunity, people would have thought you were crazy coming on to freaking YouTube and saying, talking about stock and investing and all this. Like, well, you're crazy, man. That you can't do that.
But a lot of it's backed up, though. It's not just personal opinion that you're showing. A lot of times you can show hard facts and a lot of history of how you've been doing things for a long time. It's not just hearsay. You can show your success and how you've built it up over years, by the decisions that you've made the whole time. So it's that's why I like about YouTube. And, you said it might be crazy for somebody to try and come on and get their financial advice from somebody on a platform like this. But, something else too about this is you can make 100 different videos, all with different topics, but the motivated person that wants to come and actually learn, it's very hard to motivate somebody to do something they don't want to do. But when somebody's already got that drive, you're just funneling that effort. And like, that's when it's fun to be the teacher.
Which was me. And I always just thought I was weird.
Well, nobody's saying you're not weird, but
I think if they found anybody's channel that's pretty much investing, and they're watching that, then they're already ahead of the game, in my opinion, right? So
before YouTube, though, there was a bunch of books. I mean, YouTube is somewhat of a newer platform. I'm not gonna say it's new, but before that, you just had lots of books. But sadly, these days people just aren't reading. Like, no. I'm not gonna say like they used to. People just don't read anymore, especially when it's so much more intriguing to watch video content. You know what I mean?
Right.
More intriguing because there's effects you can do with videos, and it's just fun to watch video instead of picking up a book and reading a hardback. I mean, 9 out of 10 people are gonna pick to watch a YouTube video. So maybe if they can come on here and we can put some good, fun to watch content out there, you can still sway people to invest. So.
Man.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
I get the validation on the channel all the time, man. And it's humbling for me. It really is. It's straight up humbling because I talk to you guys the same way I talk to my wife, my kids, my colleagues at work. I'm just the same fella. You know what I'm saying? It's just that, like you're saying about magnifying the message, that's the key. Like, I can sleep easy knowing that this project is on the ledger all the time. And I know that I'm doing my part, because I think you're right with the opportunity. I think it's there. I think there's everything to be excited about if you're a young person in the world, straight up. The opportunity's there, but it can be confusing. And what I talk about with regard to investing on your own, you're talking about cutting out a middleman that's traditionally been there historically for the last. Talk to your parents. You know what I'm saying? And that's the generational gap where I'm trying to push something through that I know is right, and go up against the status quo. So it's doubly tough trying to sell a message that's usually not received very well. You've got to craft it in a way to make people look at it and say, God damn, I can do that too, But I don't know. What do you think, Dave?
You mention that a lot when I watch your videos. You talk about self-directed all the time, and I get confused because I hear self-directed IRA, right, which is completely different than a standard IRA, right? But somehow the message got skipped with me, with my generation, or maybe it's just maybe from my parents to me. But my parents came from a generation where they had pensions and all that, so they didn't invest at all. Yeah. And for me, like, there was no such thing as somebody taking my money and managing it for me at all. It just never got past to me. I skipped that whole phase. I'm glad I did too. But so when I hear your message about that all the time, I really get confused because it was never something that was even in my brain at all.
Yeah. What about you, Jamie?
You talked about asking your parents or looking at your parents, kind of point of view on investing. But the sad truth is that some people's parents never invested $1 and probably still haven't in their entire lives. Talking about my dad, it was crazy. Tried to be an entrepreneur type of thing. Had a business. His wife, my stepmom, had a business. Her business tanked. He had to take a second on the house. Like, things got wild and crazy in a heartbeat. If I was to just only see, this is investing, this is trying to create a new beginning through investing money or whatever it might be, like, I would have been totally, blown away by, oh my God, this is a nightmare. Like, if this is what investing is like, I never want to put $1 in. But the fact is, like, information, I keep saying, is so cheap out there. There's so many different ways to invest. I know Dave does it in real estate notes and whatever else, and we have dividend stocks and 401ks and all this crazy stuff. There's so many different ways to invest your dollar. And that's that's the beauty of this all, is there's so many different ways to skin a cat, but they're all right. There's no wrong way to do it.
I've got
Right.
a lot of bad stories to talk about my financial planners, and I don't want people to come on and misconstrue my message at all, because I've been with 4 planners and they were all really good to me. I learned a lot. I really did, because I would sit with them, and I was one of those clients that they knew that they were going to get into some engaging conversation with, but money has just always kind of made sense to me. And there was a natural parting of ways between me and my last one, where he basically told me, he's like, Ryan, this is not for you anymore. You got to go off on your own. And that's really where it struck with me. And I was kind of off, because they talked about, I was with Edward Jones, and at the time they were rolling out a beta, I think in Canada, with regard to a lower fee management structure. It was like a 1% beta that they were doing. And I was like, I don't want to pay for my stuff anymore, but I don't know if anybody offers this thing. And it was that ironic juncture in my life where I was turned on to Merrill at the time, who had just picked up Merrill Lynch, right? And received a cold call. And I believe I was one of the very first self-directed investors. And now they're super supportive of their community, but that was really the impasse for me. And the clear separation, Dave, to your point, about defining this thing, because it doesn't pass the test with a lot of people. If you ask them like, hey, what do you think about investing on your own in the stock market? Most people would think you're crazy, and we're just not there yet. And that's why the topic, quite frankly, is infinite. And that's why I'm so adamant about coming on every Friday, because 2 hours, that's nothing, man. That's a drop in the bucket. Some people think it's crazy. I think it's the most sane thing, man. I really do.
I'm actually pretty surprised that they pushed you out, like said, you need to go off on your own. I mean, that's actually pretty surprising to me. Yeah. I'm wondering how often those people make it seem daunting and scary just so you'd stay with them.
They do, man. You hit it right on the head. They really do. And that's the separation that I try to draw, right? When you go and sit down with a planner, they're not going to sell you on ETFs. They're sure as hell not going to sell you on single stock investing, right? Now, there's a case to be made about the avenues that those can provide for true wealth building strategies. Like, people do that, okay? It's not one of those things that you have to try to turn somebody off on or make them think that it's some sort of scary thing and to push them into a mutual fund that carries with it a high expense and that the planner gets a kickback on. I'm not sure how that's supposed to, impact positively the individual investor that you're supposed to be helping. So if you start to separate those two mindsets, what are they trying to do and what are they actually delivering on, you can really start to separate in your mind and rationalize at least self-directed investing as an option that you got to look at and entertain. Weigh the pros and the cons and then make an educated decision. I just think a lot of people feel like there's only one option in the market, and that's either managed or 401k, which I'm not a fan of either, because they're super expensive, But
I think if people just went with one of those and that's all they knew, though, they would still be so much better off than somebody who never even tried their foot in investing, period, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's true. It could be a gateway, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
That was the starting point, and then they just continue to learn. Like, I know, Ryan, you preach the same message. Start with an ETF or an index fund. Create a base platform foundation of $5,000-$10,000, and as you're doing that, continue to learn and tailor your strategy. Okay, I'm gonna invest in some dividend stocks in here to create some passive side income, and that's how my strategy is going to be formed, which is completely different than the guy next door to me type of thing. But we're all going after the same goals. If they were to just start with that, if you just picked VOO, I know you've said it probably 1,000 times. If you just went with VTI or VOO,
simpler than
anything you did,
IBT and SPY and all that,
Yeah, if you just picked that one and you never invested in anything else, and I think it was there's a book I was reading. It was an investor. He was challenging you to invest in something like VOO in 20 years, never look at it, and then open it up, and you would have over $1 million in there. And it's like, just the thought of doing that is like.
My niece, just 2 years old, 2 years old. She has a UGMA account. She has
VTI. Sweet. That's what I would go with.
Right?
it's crazy because I have a 3-year-old, my son, just to think like, should I be opening an account for him soon? Should I be,
Absolutely. Sooner the better.
Yeah.
VTI.
What about you, Dave? What's the nuts and bolts a little bit? I'm kind of catching up with you live on the air, which is totally cool, man. I'm flexible and dynamic, but I'd like to hear a little bit more insight about what's your strategy, what's your philosophy? What are you trying to do?
Strategy has changed recently just because I'm in a lot of real estate notes. Quite a bit of my net worth is tied up in those, and that's interest income. So I'm trying to roll that out on the taxable account into dividend paying stocks because that's taxed more favorably. So that's the plan right now. I'm actually building out 2 portfolios. If you've seen my M1 finance videos, it's all just Vanguard ETFs in there. So it is small. It's only like $11,000. So I'm starting out just like everybody else with the portfolio is kind of small. And I'm building out a dividend portfolio in a tax deferred account, and that's got all dividend paying stocks in it, no ETFs at all. So, and there's only $30-something thousand in there. So I'm kind of starting small, just like everybody else is. So,
yeah, I don't know if I'd necessarily consider that small. It's crazy because I can reach back into my roots, and I say this all the time because it's true. I don't come from money. So, the title of this live stream was, "What does it take to be a successful investor?" And I just don't want people to look at the size of your portfolio and think that just because you've got a big portfolio that automatically, qualifies you to be considered a successful investor. Obviously you've been able to generate some wealth, right? But how much wealth have you generated? And what does that mean? There could be somebody with a $10,000 portfolio that if I look at 2 programs side by side, I may deem that $10,000 holder a lot more responsible of an investor than I do the one that's carrying the $100,000 portfolio. I just think eyes like to gravitate.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And yeah. But anyway, I don't know if you saw that from Aloha State of Mind. I remember that conversation we had a couple years ago. Aloha State of Mind has been with me a long time, guys. I just threw it on the screen real quick. Take a read on this, man. I remember he actually reached out to me directly on this very situation. So it speaks to what we're talking about.
That guy's probably actually crying inside that you left because he knows he's not getting paid off of your portfolio anymore.
Well, I mean, listen, I'm not a pompous ass, but I would say that at least we're doing what we can to generate a little bit of churn and get some attention. Seriously, because whatever wealth is created under the self-directed envelope, you're not sharing it with anybody. Yeah, certainly you're taking on the level of risk, but I don't think really people appreciate that when they're with a financial planner, they're still invested in the stock market. There's no major league or minor league stock market out there. You're not provided any type of strategic advantage by doing that. I actually would contend that you're disadvantaged by nature of the math and the statistics, and especially over time. So I just think as long as we're continuing to push it out, you never know who's going to make your way into the message and catch us 3. I mean, look at us. We're all
right
from different regions trying to find those common threads, and I think it's awesome. It's kind of like, yeah, are we challenging the system a little bit? Yeah, we are. I think it deserves to be challenged a little bit, and that's all right. It really is.
Dave, I'm kind of curious on what Dave's background is here on like what you think is the most important, because the way you've become, call it financially independent already, is I think completely different than the way many people do it. You know what I mean? Like you didn't really build slow wealth, but you also didn't buy a lottery ticket,
Right.
How you got to where you're at, like, I don't know, the motivational side of Dave to come out and tell us, how you made your.
That's a good question. I found it probably just a roundabout way, really. When you talk about probably in 2014 is really when I really, started to buckle down. But I really started, in 2010. I was 35 years old and had a bunch of debt, and I got rid of a bunch of cars and all that and reduced the debt, and then went to go work overseas in 2011 and saved quite a bit of money. And, I day traded a lot too, so I have a lot of day trading background, a lot of options trading background. And I don't talk about that a lot because I don't want people to get find that, and that's the first thing they start doing. It's a very tough thing to do. So,
Yeah.
but I enjoy it, and it's like kind of a play account for me, and I enjoy that. So, but I don't talk about it a lot just for that reason. But so I was sitting in a hotel in 2014, basically thinking, I want to go hike the Appalachian Trail, but I got to take off of work to do that, and I don't want to quit. So I'm like, how can I get there? And that's when I just started saving 70 to 75% of my take-home pay, not to mention maxing the 401k out. So it's just saving and investing as much as I could, and I did quite well day trading as well. And got into other investments. I had a couple of rentals as well. I've talked about that, but I'm out of those. So yeah, it was just a combination of a lot of different things, and being in a bull market too, right? So
definitely, it sounds like you had a moment though. Like it wasn't like a one-off type of thing. It was a culmination of a dozen things, but you had that moment to say, from here on out, I'm not going to suck. Like I'm going to be just successful from here forward, and it's going to be all these different things coming together to create, what you have now. Because you just named off a bunch of different ways that people have become millionaires in each of those different, real estate, whether it be, like look at Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's became a millionaire in 3 different categories alone. I think it is something
right.
Lines, real estate alone, people become multimillionaires just by that itself. And you were a contractor, which is a pretty high paying job overseas, I believe. So you're doing a lot of different things, what it seems like, but I think all those together sounds like you just had a light that's, light switch, and you flipped on one day, you said, okay, today's the day where I start, you know what I mean? Your Appalachian Trail thought, you're like, how the heck can I do that type of thing?
Some of it has to do maybe with, reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I know probably a ton of people in this, in this live stream have read that. So that kind of changed things, just a little bit of the mindset right there back in 2001 when I read that. And I didn't have any money. I was living paycheck to paycheck, spending every dime that I made, right? And I had credit card debt and everything, and just but that kind of set the motion, the ball rolling right there a little bit, because it never really left my mind, never left my brain, even though it really just didn't kick in until later on in life when you start. Everybody wants to get rich when they're young, real fast, right? Like they don't want to take the time and, get rich slowly, over time. So it's just, and we're probably all went through that at one point. Because I know I did. So
I went through it too. The only one I've ever seen like that is Ryan Scribner, because that's the guy that kind of took me under his wing, and I've met him a couple times in person, and you kind of understand why, and that kind of thing is reassuring to me. You know what I mean, Dave? To kind of show that it is possible. But I think you struck on a nerve a little bit, and the success factor kind of goes down when you've got everybody in the sun trying to get rich overnight and do it without putting in the trenches work. I just don't know how much you can appreciate it if it does happen to you like that. And I've had this discussion with Ryan too, personally, and he appreciated it too, because I mean, what do you do when you're 24 years old and boom, you're bestowed upon some serious wealth? You're running a multi-million-dollar company, and how do you take that step back? Because I mean, at 20, that's what now. I mean, you did it. You set out to do it. And I would think could conquer the world.
Absolutely.
But I think he definitely earned it, though. He put the time in for it. It wasn't something that was fed to him on a silver spoon. He put a lot of hours in, and I think you can respect that, and a lot of front-loaded effort with what he's done. A lot of work before you see any paychecks, and that's something I think a lot of people can never even fathom the idea. I'm supposed to put in all these hours before I get paid a single dollar.
He's got a little bit of artificial intelligence too. Like he's got a little bit of a different gear too. You don't pick up on that. It's you got to pay a little more attention. I'm a little bit more of an old school grinder. I can kind of outwork a lot of people. And that's probably got me where I am now, starting with nothing and being where I'm at now. I'm just nothing but thankful. But I wouldn't have been where I'm at, going to work on the commercial fishing boat in Alaska. I mean, who the hell's done that? It taught me a lot about, the value of hard work and the value of money, really, and the value of money when it's not there. and you're still working and you still got bills stacking up behind you. And I don't know, man, something you said, Dave, I think when you say that stuff over YouTube and people are tuning into the message, I think they hear that reality. Like in 2001, you were just starting and you had some debt in your life. I don't know, man. That really relates to a lot of people. They hear that and they're like, dang, these are real life stories. I think that's legit for real.
And that's kind of a tough thing to convey in a video, because I can relate to them, but I don't know if they can completely relate to me. Yeah. So it's very tough to juggle that. I mean, I don't know if anybody else has run into that, but I know I have.
Yeah. I definitely have. And that's kind of why I think that I'm trying this experiment. And I can tell you right now, in the back of my mind, it's working the way that I thought. I think to utilize the social media opportunity and really make it as engaging as you can. I mean, look at these three perspectives, man. We're all coming from different places, some common threads. Yes, the military, right? Jamie, that's, but different places. All definitely highly motivated, I would say, and
passionate, right?
Passion and success is a drug, man. Like, it really is. Once you get a little bit, you get some dopamine going in your mind, and it's like, I like that. I want more.
Seeing those dividend checks roll in, yeah.
Yeah.
I was explaining dividends the other night. You kicked on after me, Dave, but when I was talking to Dustin, he was the young kid. I say kid, I'm 42. I don't mean to impugn, but shoot, man, when I was 18, I was a kid. So I was talking about dividends and the way you just expressed it. It's one of those very few, almost guaranteed things in the stock market. And I backed up that statement by saying I typically don't put guarantee and stock market in the same sentence. You can get in trouble doing that. But dividends, yeah, they really are. They really are worth. I think there's that's another message that we could try to clean up a little bit, because I'm not one of those folks that jump on the bandwagon that the dividend is the end all be all of your stock deliberation. And I want to make sure that message isn't getting misconstrued. You can take a J&J at 2.5, or an O Realty Corp, which is another favorite of the group. And, each investment, is going to pay a dividend, but sustainability, growth over time, et cetera, those types of things. And just making sure that it's aligned with the program that you want out of that, especially when you start lumping a bunch of them together in the same portfolio,
I think it makes the dividends this is why I like the dividends, is because we're talking about growing wealth over time. And it's that time is what's hard to just put in and just be patient for, because you're wanting to see that success like so quickly, like a lottery you just won, and just to get, $1 million dumped on your lap right now. And that takes a lot of time. So getting those dividend checks over time, you're like, hey, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. And, it's like eases the weight of waiting that much time. But also, when people start doing their research and they realize how much of the stock market returns are from dividends, a lot of people get the
70%
about dividend stocks that they're just old, they don't move fast. But if you look at Target recently, you would think differently. You know what I mean? Like, you would not think that at all. You're like, holy crap, what just happened there? I thought Target was a slow moving dividend payer that just doesn't do anything. And Walmart's where it's at, or Amazon, like, wrong again. You know what I mean? So it's like, you never know what's going to happen. It's what the dividends definitely ease the pain of waiting for that long, and they kind of keep you in the game better. So, and it's exciting to get it, and you can look forward to it because you can put it on a schedule. You can set up, I think, 12 stocks in a year. You're like, I'm going to get a dividend payment every month.
Is that what you guys are doing? Are you guys rendering the dividend payments? How on that?
What's that?
Are you guys rendering the dividend payments a payout in cash? Or are you guys rolling it back in, doing a drip?
I'm dripping all mine back in.
Definitely dripping, I too.
Good.
Had it automatic on the M1 because that's what their platform's known for. But I stopped.
That reinvestment in the portfolio. You guys see that experiment I'm running on M1 Finance right now with the sector specific ETFs? That portfolio is up 13% right now. I started it in March. It's kind of interesting because it always rotates into the underperforming sector.
Right.
kind of interesting to see how it's performing. You know, it'll be fun to track it, whether or not I'm a dog or a champion. We'll see. It's kind of a, you know, it is one. I'm doing it to prove a point and explore the platform, and I'm also using M1 Finance for my research. Some of the comparison stuff. I don't know. I would encourage you guys to use it the same way. You know?
I am actually using it the same way. I got all Vanguard ETFs in there for every sector in there, and I pretty much buy once or twice a week. So I definitely like the platform for, you know, for that. I mean, there's no other platform that really offers the way M1 does. So
when all these brokers just started coming out with their commission-free trades, I really had to sit down and ask myself, like, is this the time where I need to reevaluate and maybe go with a Schwab or a TD Ameritrade or something? And I just sat down and I kind of just, I'm happy where I'm at with M1, to be completely honest right now. Sure, they offer the one trade per day, but people that are getting into M1 for, you know, if they want to pay for, you know, the 2 trades, they can do that. But if you're getting into M1 for the wrong reasons, to be a day trader, then you're starting off on the wrong foot.
You know my position on that, man. I've been very vocal about my criticism of M1 Finance.
Right.
I mean, I'm right. You're going to be disappointed if you're going to want to get in there and screw around. But if you want to be a passive investor, you know, I think M1 Finance has been awesome. I've been very, very satisfied for sure. I mean, I wouldn't roll it out as an option on the channel as an affiliate. Now it's kind of lost a little bit of luster with major brokers going, because what you just said, Jamie, I mean, that's always going to be in the back of your mind. I know Lydia, who is a guest on my channel as well. She's a featured channel. She's just done the same thing. She's moved away from those discount brokers and moved on to a full service. So
from my perspective, because I've had a lot of brokers over the years, Scott Trade, E-Trade, TD Ameritrade, Interactive Brokers, and now I have a Schwab account as well that I just opened up, you know, thanks to Allgood, which should be in the chat here. But I opened the M1 because it fit something I was looking for, you know, but coming from a trading background, it really drove me nuts for a few months with that trading window. And now I don't even care about it. It doesn't even bother with me anymore. It's just like, okay, I'm throwing money in there. It's going to put it in, you know, the most underweight sector. And, you know, there we go.
Yeah.
Just long-term hold.
It's like a mental trigger in our heads that it says, if we're not doing something, if we're not clicking the mouse, if we're not always investigating or looking up or down, that we're not doing something. You know, we always, being more passive in the market sometimes yields better results. It's like the bar of soap I talked about. That's your account. The more you handle it,
always does.
The more you handle it, the more it goes down, you know.
It's the hardest and easiest thing to teach somebody to get that. To understand that if you're looking for day-to-day validation in the stock market has none to render. Okay. What I mean by that is you're not going to look at it and say, I know exactly what I'm going to do based on today's market action as to what I'm going to do on Monday. You know, it's just silly. And, you know, I've been guilty of it too. I've rendered a lot of trading profit within, at least relatively speaking, for me and the capital that I'm working with. But I'm really trying to move away from that posture. I really am. I'm really trying to get those companies built out. And if you guys have followed my portfolio reviews, I think you've seen me transition a little bit and really build it the way that I want it to be, more passive over time, because I'm pretty vocal about my longer term goals. If this ends up being some form of generational wealth, I'll be okay with that, because I really don't need that stuff to be happy. I really don't. I spend the majority of my time focused on my plan, so much so that I don't really look at a lot of the historical performance. You know, I just discovered that 3x performance over the last 5 years, as I was looking back and I was like, holy crap, that's where I started. Look at that, man. That's amazing. Because I just don't focus on the past. I'm busy thinking about the future so often, you know.
Well, you've actually had really good returns this year. You've done a really good job, because I've looked at your video where you've rendered those profits. So,
yeah, I mean, I don't know if it might have been you who was like, was it worth it? Because I get asked that all the time, and the answer is no. No,
probably wasn't me, because I probably made 800 trades in one of the years that I've day traded, right? And it was a lot of work. So I don't do it anymore. It's just too much work,
Yeah.
So all that much work and to make like 17% when the market might return.
I think he's gonna say 12.
Guy, that's awesome right there. Look at him. Yeah, no, he popped right back on there, man. You just froze for just a sec, Dave.
Did I?
Yeah, man. But now you're back, man. I think you're right. And anybody who says that they can engage in that activity over 800 trades and not get somewhat emotionally charged, I don't know, man. If you could speak on that, that'd be awesome. I really try to keep people away from that side of the market because it does take a special person. You can succeed at it for sure, as you've proven. And I tip my hat to all levels of success in the market. I'm not one to say one strategy is better than the other, etc. I'm a bottom line guy, but you devoted a lot of time to that strategy to make it work. Am I correct?
I did, but I also caught it in a bull market too. So, the bias is up, right? So it's a little bit easier. Just trading sideways, you might get chopped up. It's not easy. It's definitely, there's a big learning curve to it, but you're going to learn a lot of lessons that are going to help you later on, probably with investing too, right? You got to learn those lessons somehow. Now, I don't recommend anybody start day trading. It's definitely a huge learning curve to it. And, I thankfully never blew an account up. So, and I've kind of changed my strategies over the years. I don't get into junk stocks like, Peloton and Uber and Beyond Meat and all that stuff. I get into quality companies I don't have to worry about, and maybe if I'm down, then I collect a dividend while I'm waiting. So that's just my strategy.
What about the stress that goes into? I know we talked time, and time is one of the biggest assets everybody has, but the stress of day trading, that is like a roller coaster up and down because you're literally always on the edge of your seat wondering, is now the time? Is now the time? You never really get a moment to just be passive. You know what I mean? Like, it is literally stressful. My brother tries to day trade. I did a lot of research on it years ago, and I'm glad I decided early on, this is not for me. Like, this is no, thank you.
There's two big things with day trading, in my opinion. If you're trying to day trade and live off of it, that's going to be 10 times harder because every day that you trade, you're like, okay, I need to make $50 today, just to be able to survive on the month, right? Mm-hmm. And if you don't make that $50, you're going to revenge trade, right? So, because I've revenge traded, I know exactly what it is. And you're going to be like, oh, crap, I need to make $100 tomorrow now, right? And it's just... So if somebody was going to day trade, I would recommend that they actually have, some sort of other income where they can survive off of. That'd be a good way to start. But, I forgot what the other point I was going to make, but something had to do with what you were going to say, Jamie. But
I got something else, though. I was going to ask you this question a while back, but you just reminded me of it now. I kind of want to know both your guys' perspective because you guys are a lot further than me in your investing careers here. But when you first started out investing to when, like you just said, you needed the money to live on if you're, day trading because you need to buy dinner tomorrow or tonight or whenever, compared to right now when you're pretty much financially independent and you're making future investments, like how has that changed in your mindset as far as, your risk level, I guess, or just are you riskier? How does things change from when you were needing to make those investments because you hadn't achieved your goals yet? You know what I mean?
That's easy for me to answer because I would have never had all my money, my whole net worth into day trading. I had other investments, right? So I take a subset of that, and that's what I was working with. And I still do that to this day. It's just a small subset of my net worth that I'm using, right? So, and I talked about this in videos, it's like if I had that 100K invested or whatever into dividend stocks, and you're just going to get that average 4%, that just means I need to make $4,000 that year after that account, right? And I'm already up double that pretty much this year. So I've already met my goals and with a lot less risk, right? So it's not for everybody. It's just something that I enjoy doing. And, I'm putting some risk out there, day trading, but it is something I'm passionate about and I enjoy doing. It just keeps things interesting and fun for me.
It sounds like you wouldn't care if you lose that money, right? Like it's I think you called it your fun account, right?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't want to lose it, of course, but I'm also in stocks that are solid stocks. I wouldn't have to worry about going away. So,
I mean, I think you talked about it as your fun account. I was like, in your mind, I know I'm not the only one that was thinking this. What does fun account mean? Like, if this account tanks, am I gonna cry tonight type of thing, you know?
So I talked about that in one of my videos, that it's easier to double like a $5,000 account versus it is to double like a $200,000 account, right? I've doubled small accounts, and try to double a big account. It's way more difficult, but it seems opposite, right? It seems like, oh, it'd be easier to double a big account. No, but when you're down, you're like $4,000 or $5,000 or $10,000 versus just being down $400, right? So it plays with your mind. So I always try to keep my accounts a little bit smaller if I'm going to play with around. But that's just a lesson that I learned.
Mental barrier in there, man. I'm telling you.
That's a hell of a question. I'll tell you what, man, for me, it's started really, really young in my life, where I didn't come from money, but I think my mental approach has been the key to my success for sure. I mean, I talk about being in hawk with the IRS, owing back taxes, not once, but twice in my life. Right. And just my mental mindset carried me through those times. Whereas I think a lot of people would have just used that as an excuse to maybe throw in the towel, because it's a scary proposition, man. It was straight up scary for me. But as far as my approach to the market, I tell you what, I've been through a couple big downturns. I've got a couple decades in the market, and a few things happen when you go through those big haircuts. And I push it through, and I don't mean to, minimize it by saying that, but it's a rule of thumb that I kind of abide by in saying, look, if Monday came around and I took a 40 or 50% haircut on my money, what would I look like? What would I be holding? What would that damage render in the account?
Right.
And what would I have? And this is the key. What would I have to have built up to that potential in the market? Because I just think people are lulled to sleep right now. Okay, I think people are just expecting this market to continue up every single year at a 28% clip, and I'm just going to tell you that's not going to happen. It's not. I'm just way too realistic about it. This euphoric state that we're in right now is all lovely. We're all making a little bit of money if we're, but I say that tongue in cheek. I really do, because it could be gone next January 15th. Coming into the springtime, we've got an election right around the corner. So I think that defensive mindset has always helped me. And I really do take a very, very deliberate builder's perspective to building wealth. I mean, I've built this up from nothing. So, my builder's perspective has helped me. I haven't jumped a step. I've put one foot in front of the other. And all these things I'm talking about on the channel are just aimed at that. If you're willing to take that first step, it's amazing how you can render results. And there were times when you look at the account, right, Dave, and you're like, what in the hell am I doing? When you start, you're like, it stays around 10 or 20,000 for like seemingly forever. Like, why am I doing this? It's never going to do anything. And then you wake up one morning and you look at your stuff and you're like, dang, man, that's crazy. Look at those results. So
did that recently. I just looked at a video from 4 months ago, and I said, "Holy crap, was that my balance?" Wow, it's coming along pretty nicely. This is, and then looked at my TSP or 401k from 5 years ago. I said, "Holy crap, is that all I had in there at the time?" Like at the time, it felt great, but now I'm like, man, it's chugging along. Chipping in a little bit here and there. And 5 years from now, who knows what's going to be? But you kind of hit it on the head there. I was wanting to ask you, because you've been doing this YouTube channel for a while here, and a lot of people turn to you for your motivation and advice and stuff. And I think they're really going to come back in the end when the market does have that bad day or that bad year, and they're going to say, hey, what the heck is Ryan doing? What the heck is XYZ channel doing? What are these guys with larger financial wealth account balances doing right now that the market is scary? Because right now, like you guys said, it's easy. It's easy to make money in a market when everything is going up.
That's some real stuff you just said right there, Jamie. It's going to be interesting, because I don't think I was on YouTube when that happened back then. So I didn't really follow a lot of this stuff back then. I mean, I was probably watching YouTube, but it'd be interesting to see what happens if people are going to be making videos on losses or something like that. But
not a lot of people make videos on that, because
no, they don't.
People want to see making money. They want to see, how can I make money myself?
Exactly.
that's what gets all the views. But when, I know people have made some videos on how I lost so much money, but if you're just using this as a medium to show this is what I'm doing in my investing right now, just to keep people motivated so they don't sell out of everything.
I think it might be people just going around looking for people that are in the same boat as them, right? Like they're down 20%, they're in the same stock. Okay, I feel better, right? That's same boat mentality.
That's what's good about the financial community, though, is even if you are invested with other people, it keeps you on track that, like, I'm not in this alone type of thing. Like that's probably the best thing about it, because if you're trying to, I know it's ironic that this channel is called the Independent Investor here,
right.
But you've got, other people here to definitely support you and drag you along the way when you're down and stuff. But yeah, I think it's going to get really interesting here. Who knows when that's going to happen, probably within the next year or two, who knows?
4 years could be
4 or 5. I think you'll see there will be others as well. There will be other channel creators. There's little tidbits that I pick up and you guys are in this camp as well. Little things that you say that I pick up on to make me think that you guys are just super genuine. I feel that way about a lot of folks in this community. And I think at least for me, you're going to see the best version of me during those times. We haven't really been tested. And when I started rolling out videos on YouTube, as crazy of an idea was that, Scribner had 6,000 subscribers when I started. You had Jeremy doing his thing, a couple others beat the bush, and there was one other as well, the chalkboard kid. The chalkboard kid, the kid that came out with that video, that Chapel. He came out with a video. This first video, it's crazy. Got 1 million views on it, but it's been a lot of roses on YouTube, and I think there's been a lot of people who, because they're investing, they think that somehow that qualifies them, and that's really where I want to make sure and keep furthering the discussion. Put the money aside a little bit, because how are you going to react when the flip side of the market rears its head? And that's what I'm interested in. That I really am. I know how I'm going to react. I've got a feeling for how you guys are going to react as well. And I say react is an emotion, but you're going to make a deliberate choice to do nothing. That's what you'll do.
So I
have a strategy already set up for it. I'm already planning for it. So, I have cash sitting on the sidelines, and that's my strategy. I'm well diverse as well. So for me, I will be buying probably on the way down, because that's just the way I am. And you never know when the bottom is. I was buying on the way down last December, October through December. So,
me too.
That's just the way I am. I don't care if I take, basically catch a falling knife, right? So you can't catch the bottom. You're not going to be able to catch the top. Nobody can predict that. So for me, it's just, I'm going to be buying little chunks on the way down. And that's my strategy anyway.
Looking at how it bounces back up after the biggest downfalls, it is usually so much more, dependent on how long it takes for the market to rally back up. As long as you're invested throughout the whole time, buying all the way down, which can be tough, because essentially you're getting
absolutely
cut, you're getting cut the whole way down. You're like, man, I'm losing money. But on the flip side, you're like, I'm getting a better price. And if you can just hold on long enough to where you don't need that money to put food on the table.
Hey, I got a lot of love for Kyle real quick, man. I just want to send out some love. Awesome income investors. Dude, whenever I need a lift on energy, I just deals, man. I don't think I could do the whole, I'd probably smash my head on the table or something, man. But
if he could just send me 10% of his energy, that'd be great.
He takes pre-workout before he films video.
I don't know.
So I'm looking to early retire, right, Jamie? We and I talked about this. If I, somehow just retire and get, stuck with a recession or day, probably a year or two out or something like that, then that's going to be tough. So I would love to have that recession happen before, right? And then, I was talking about having some cash on the side, throwing that in on the way down. But that's a good opportunity to just, really try to pile more money in. Not just, have money laying around, but, work hard, keep working, and then just throwing more money in, right? Trying to max out the 401k if you can, or just, You don't get opportunities like that all the time, right? So
yeah, that's something I really, personally, I think I've struggled with is holding cash on the side and not investing it. It's so tempting to just want to throw everything in there. I recently made a video about buying a car in cash. Like that was not easy to save money on the side because you're like, I just want to invest this money. Like you could mentally picture how much your dividends are going to grow by that much if you just had this much stock of XYZ stock. Like it's very easy to just shove everything in, but unless you like make it a point to save money on the side, you will get probably over invested or not.
I think the time horizon is going to basically kind of dictate that a little bit.
That's right.
Yeah, I think setting up a little, sinking fund on the side.
You have quite a few years. What, like 7 years or something left?
For my fire date, 10 and a half.
10 years. Okay, yeah, that's a ton of time. So
as far as keeping cash on the side, if you wanted to invest when stocks are falling or when the recession hits or anything like that, there's a gray area in there.
I look at it a little more holistically, man. The cash on the side, yeah, you can earmark it with that justification. Okay, but it gives you a lot of options, Yeah. For me, I typically look at, and I've explained this on the channel, my cash pillar just makes sense to me. I'm not saying that it makes sense to somebody that's 20 years old, to go into it with a strategic priority to put a bunch of cash away. As a matter of fact, I would urge against that, but it makes sense for me, and here's why. I think the relative amount of cash that I have when I look at the total overall exposure rate that I've got to the market is okay for me. Now we're talking from a little different perspective too, Jamie, because it's military, right? So there's some guaranteed stuff there on the back end if you do 20. Okay. Yeah. Now I'm not saying you sell the farm down the river, and start buying Tesla in your farm. But it gives you a little bit more freedom and latitude to maybe be a little bit more exposed where somebody might look at my program and say, God, I don't know. And trust me, when the market goes down, you're going to have people crawling out from behind the bushes, man, to throw rocks at every one of us. Trust me. See, I told you, all the naysayers and this and that, see, investing in stock market's going to zero. It happened a little bit last December, Dave, when it kicked down like that.
What, 20% drop or something, right? 3 months ish or something. It really, honestly, it wasn't that bad. I mean, it didn't hit me that bad anyway.
Hell no. So, I mean, that's just sneaking into potential for bear market territory, not even recessionary. But you did, man. You had people coming on the channel. See, Ryan, I told you, okay, yeah, you did. You told me. You're right. You're right. What is this game about? Is it just about being right all the time? How about you shut up and listen for 2 seconds?
And 3 months later, now look, V-shaped pattern, right?
I'm not exempt from that, man. I love listening to people. I just listen to other people's perspectives, man. You'll hear it out. What you were saying, Dave, about looking at a dip as an opportunity, that's hard for new investors to do, but it's true. It's just what people need to hear, straight up.
Well, so buy the dip has been working for quite a while until someday it doesn't, right? So when that day happens, that's the day we have a recession probably. So I'm ready for it. I mean, a lot of people are ready for it. You were talking about earlier saying that you meet a lot of people that saying, oh, the market's just going to keep going up. Well, it seems like every article that I read that everybody thinks that we're due for a recession, we're going to have a recession, and they're all naysayers and I meet a ton of people that they're waiting, they're on the sideline, everything's expensive. So
I'm not a big proponent to that, right? You got to be doing both. See, I'm not an all in or all out type of guy, right? See, my portfolio is where I want it to be right now. I'm good. I'm not trying to make some magic swing. I'm not trying to catch a dip on a 20% downturn. Am I prepared to make a move if that's what happens? Yes, definitely. I'm defensively prepared like that. But I talk to investors all the time that, I really do think they're over levered. I really do. I think they're playing with fire and they're going to get freaking burned. They really are. And good on them if they've got the tolerance to get burned and come out of it okay. I don't wish ill will on anybody. I want everybody to succeed in the market. But
are they in growth companies or are they in just like really poor quality companies that are,
Just
speculative,
just high
basically.
growth, and I think in relative terms, you got a lot of folks out there that are sharing a lot of portfolios, and they look like wizards right now, but
Right.
it doesn't mean that the market's going to continue to be conducive to that type of activity where you've got portfolios that are just super high centric growth oriented. It's easy to be an investor right now. Okay. The strength of how good of an investor you are is how good you do in the trenches. That's it. And I don't think people have really been tested. And I can't remember the last time that we were, except for 2009, because that was a systemic shock to the system. And that mortgage-backed security thing, that
Oh yeah.
you could talk about it more in depth than I could, Dave, but it was straight real.
That was really, that hit me because I was pretty old. I was like 34 or something, if I remember correctly. It's about around that time. And there's no guarantee that our next recession is going to be like that. And a lot of people, that remember that think it's going to be like that, right? The next time it happens. But that's really, I wouldn't say it's a once in a lifetime thing, but it's not going to happen every time like that, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. I hope you're right. And I think you are. I really do. I think if we have a nice, healthy correction, something that doesn't just scare the bat hell out of people, and they're running for the hills and, jumping in their, prepper fortresses, their bunkers,
Doomsday.
I do. I think you're right, Dave. I do. I think we're overdue a little bit. I think we could take a nice, healthy correction in the market for sure. Underlying economy is really good. I just think at 18 times forward right now, we're just a little bit on the rich side. That's all,
And a lot of people don't like corrections too, those 10 or 20% corrections, but that pushes higher, right? We're going to end up making new highs if we have a correction. So they're good for the market.
Yeah, I'm not working hard right now. Are you kidding me? I'm just being an investor right now. I'm serious. The hard work will start when you get those opportunities. When a lot of people aren't looking at those situations as opportunities to really go to work. And that speaks to your question, Jamie, right? You've got to think opposite of the way the crowd is thinking. The more you can think different than everybody else, the better you'll be.
Trying to be the black sheep, man. I mean, it's not easy. You're talking about mentally preparing yourself for when that day does come, and that's all I'm trying to do now. And I think everybody's trying to do that, is just mentally prepare for the day the the fire starts, and you're like, oh crap, is this what we've been talking about? Like, I think it's happening. Like, but to recognize it, like, should I buy stocks right now? Like, you see your account just like, lighter fluids just pouring on your account, and you're like, I should put more money in. Like, that's, it's hard to mentally accept that. But, I haven't been invested as long as you guys have. I literally started, I don't even call it investing too much. Starting my 401k, it was just easy. It's easy an option to getting my foot into the market.
Right.
In 2010, right after 2008 happened. So like, I haven't seen anything but an up market. So I can't sit here and say, oh yeah, it's going to be so easy to look at it and say, oh, my account's, plummeting, time to buy. Like, I've listened to other investors like yourselves and read plenty of books that talk about buying the dip and buying on sale stocks, and just preparing mentally is all I can do for now to say, okay, when this day comes, I'll have run through it a million times in my head. This is what I'm going to do. And like December happened, that's a scrimmage game essentially. What did I do there? How did you handle it? Times that by 10, because that's going to be reality, so.
In a way, being, starting investing after 2008 could help you in a way, right? It's like learning to snowboard, right? And then trying to learn how to ski versus just learn how to ski first. I'm scarred by 2008 a little bit, right? So I prepare myself just because of that scar a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I think something that we're missing a little bit when we're talking about this topic is you might not have a lot of time in the market, Jamie, but don't underestimate the power of investing as close to perfect as you can. What I mean by that is it's hard to appreciate circumventing those landmines when you first start getting invested. And I put financial managers in that camp. I really do. You'll go through those big downturns. I went with it with Edward Jones. Not only was I losing big money, but I was still paying the fees to the managers, right? So don't ever lose sight of the fact that as a self-directed investor, if you can handle and understand in its totality the program, you will still at that time have the strategic advantage over your program. You will, rest assured. Because even, do you know what I mean by that?
I mean, I think I get what you're saying, and too, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about, even with holding cash, just sticking with the program and having a plan for when it happens. Like, I know it's exactly why you're holding cash, is because it makes you feel good at night. You can sleep well. It's like a swan stock. It's like your swan cash account.
Well, I'll just foot stomp this. I'll say, look, my accounts, if they're going to go up, they're going to go down over time. But here's the thing: the more time that I have holding my self-directed accounts, every single penny that goes into my account is mine. I share it with no one. I pay nothing in fees. I pay nothing in. So let me just rattle off a few things that I don't think a lot of people understand about a managed Roth IRA that you do in fact pay for. If you ask them to go in, for example, and set up your dividend reinvestment program, they're going to set up the setting in there just like we all three do, and they're going to charge you for that. Okay, that's a service that they've taken and found out a way to charge people for that little 30 seconds worth of work, and you're going to get charged that every month. Okay, dollar cost average fee, a phenomenon that we talk about as important as it is on the channel. The industry has found a way to take those little contributions that you're putting in that account and affix a fee to that. Okay, those are just two examples. I could talk annual fees. I could talk all day about expenses in the account, expenses that are disclosed that nobody reads about. That's the strategic advantage that I talk about, that you are not subject to even in a 20 or 30 or 40% downturn. And you're going to have other portfolios out there that are subject to those fees still. You will outperform those folks every single time. That's the strategic advantage.
Didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's crazy. It's only going to get worse probably too, because everything has gone commission free now. These companies still want to make the same money they were making or more before. It's a business. They're going to charge you for everything.
No, man. They don't care about money. What are you talking about?
No, man.
Jeez, no, man. They care about your financial best interests. Come on now. The fiduciary responsibility, man.
Right.
Real, right? It's my dry humor, man. Seriously.
Yeah, I've never even thought about it from that perspective, though. It's like a negative compounding effect when you have all these little chips coming at you. You know what I mean? Like the small.
I went through up years. I went through up years in the stock market. I'd get my statement at the end of the year, and my money is in the brackets, and I lost money on an up year. How the hell does that happen?
Wow.
It's because they're going to get theirs, man. You know. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. If you can just avoid those years, think about that, man. You only have 80 years, plus or minus a few in this life, right? I'm shooting for 117. I don't know if I'll make it. But you only have so many years, right? So if you give away the farm for one of those years, I chalk that up as a mistake year. So when I say avoid mistakes, you might look at it and say, I don't have a lot of time in the market, but you have correct time in the market. And I just want to make sure that you acknowledge how important that is, you know?
Awesome, man. Yeah, for sure. I don't know, man. It's a game. We're all playing the game. We're all playing the game for sure. And it's like
I enjoy the game.
Yeah, for sure. You know,
I made the comment Wednesday that it's as good as anything. I'm kind of addicted to the market. I really am. I enjoy it. I'm one of those that I don't look at it like a game. I really don't. I have a lot of fun talking about the stock market and investing, but it's serious business, and people are.
It's a passion. It's a passion for sure. Or else you wouldn't be here every Friday night at 8 or 9 o'clock or whatever time it is. If you
for 2 hours.
Oh yeah. People are like, "What the hell?" My brother, he's listened to me do these live streams, and he's like, "How the hell do you do that?" Like,
I told my wife this. I was like, "Is this what 30 with a kid getting turned up looks like? Is coming on a Friday night on YouTube with a bunch of the guys and gals talking about money and how to make it?" And I was like, 10 years ago, I could not have said I would be here doing this. You just can't do that. But like everybody in the chat right now, everybody on these streams has a passion for money and for investing, and just like, this is a great topic because you can take it in so many different ways. Like, it's fun. I love it. I have a passion, even if you're just getting into it. Like, there's so much to learn. It's great.
It's infinite. Dave, would you agree with that? I mean,
completely agree. I've been I don't know. I get up every morning. Doesn't matter what time zone I'm, because I travel a lot. If I'm in Pacific time, I get up at 6:30 just to watch the market open. So.
Yep. I don't know. I would wish for a lot of people that it raise up on the priority list. You know what I'm saying? I do still sit down with a lot of people, because a lot of people approach me and they're like, "Hey, Ryan, you got a few moments?" Of course I do, and I'll sit down and it's like, I know what the secret to your success is, but I'm not sure if you see it. And that's the frustrating part for me, because I want to see potential in everybody, because it's there. Straight up, it's there. And I just think the real problem is that people have a hard time getting out of their own damn way.
You know what they need to do, because you know what,
for sure,
you have to make the choice to do it. Like, it's the same choice that you had 20, 30 years ago. You just decided to do it. It's just like they had that switch flipped on. He said,
I might be a bad example, because for me, it seemed more crazy not to invest.
I mean, you look at your life. What's my life going to be like 20 years from now, 40 years from now, if I don't do this? It's not if I do this, it's if I don't do this. The bigger repercussion there. You know what I mean? If I don't,
absolutely.
What's my life?
What's the quote? You got to work your whole life, right?
My dad, he talked about my neighbor when I was growing up, the guy who never had any investments, no pension. He literally worked until he died. And, people will say that a lot, but like, when you know somebody in real life that worked until the day they die, that is like, you just sit there and you can almost just like stare at the wall for an hour and think about that. Like, is that going to be me, or can I enjoy my life for what it is? Like, if you're not investing, if you didn't make that choice 20 years ago to start investing, you wouldn't have the assets now to live off of. And you're just like, man, paycheck to paycheck, typical American. Like, that is not what we want right now. I mean,
I lived like that for 15 years, Jamie.
And somehow you're where you are now because you made a choice.
Exactly. Well, I'm kind of curious to know, for both of you, what's your biggest regret, I guess, because I don't think I know either one of yours biggest regret. Maybe I heard a Q&A from you, Jamie, but I don't remember.
Like a financial regret?
I have hundreds.
Oh.
My top 5, Yeah, when I talked and I mentioned to avoid those mistakes, I got into the day trading thing too. And the worst thing that happened to me is I made a little bit of money. The worst thing that happened to me ever. I wish I had just lost it all. I ended up losing it all. And that was the worst thing.
So you got cocky, or you got a little overconfident?
Oh, hell yeah. You watch Wall Street over and over again, and you're like, hell yeah, I can do that. I don't need to work. This is awesome. I have the ability to go in and push a button twice, and I can just make killer money. Might have been the worst and best thing that ever happened to me at the same time, and now you kind of see that in the portfolio that I've built. I mean, I really lean toward a lot of quality. That's why I really do scoff at some of this growth stuff. Again, if you make money, that's lovely. That's lovely for you. It's not for me. To each his own as far as that goes. But I don't know if I look at the worst things that have ever happened in my life as being a bad thing. I really don't. I am who I am right now because of those things. And maybe to give back a little bit and maybe circumvent some of those. I'm really passionate about that, because I think if somebody would have put me on a different path, I would be sitting on 7 figures right now. And no doubt in my mind, no doubt. If I could have just taken some of those delays and made those just little putts for par, I would have been so much better than, a quadruple bogey. And seriously. So that would have been the key for me. But you live and learn. And that's the cool thing about YouTube opportunity, is you can kind of come on and share some of those testimonials with people, and they can come on and say, dang, that's legit, or I can do that. And
That's interesting that so you came through day trading, and day trading taught you a lesson basically, and that's how kind of it changed your way of thinking and investing. So it really helped you in a way, right?
if I had
you
to
know.
admit to my wife that I lost that money, yeah, you bet. That was a humbling experience, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, that was hard-earned money at the time, and we've since, made up for that. Did I throw in the towel and quit? The amount of money that I lost at the time, somebody might have looked at that and said, "Geez, that's like a scalping. I could have never done that and come back from that." But for me, it was the opposite. It was just the fuel that I needed to, persevere. And
And everybody seems to have a story like that
oh hell
in
yeah,
some way or another,
oh yeah.
with investing. So
That's why I don't apologize to people when they accidentally step on a landmine and,
mhm.
and they buy a stock that freaking, oh my God, lo and behold, the thing goes down. You know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden I'm the asshole. It's like that guy, he's got it in his account and I bought it in mine. And it's all his freaking fault, I don't apologize for stuff like that. I don't apologize for how crazy volatile the market can get. And it's not going to care how you feel about it. It's not going to care who you want to blame about it. It's not. Just to know that there's a potential out there lingering for the market to show an uglier side. There's another side of the coin to this whole thing. And just to be mentally prepared for it. I think that's the key.
I call that parrot trading, by the way. Basically, that's why I don't live stream trades. That's why I don't really even mention anything anymore, because I don't want somebody to get into something the day that I get into it. And basically, it's called parrot trading to me. So, think they have the same results that I do, right? And I'm probably already out of it before, and then they just bought it, so.
I've been really thinking for the last couple of minutes here on the question, that Ryan just answered, but it's like a really huge question to think about. You could probably spend weeks thinking about this, but I don't think it was a financial decision, like some of my biggest regrets or failures or whatever even asked me. It was honestly, I think, and it sounds so like cliche to say this, but to not invest in myself. But specific example to earlier when you talked about Rich Dad Poor Dad, I remember the exact day I got that book. And because I'm talking about that book rewired the way my brain processes information.
For sure.
Like, I did not sleep for 2 days. I remember I was in Maryland. I was stationed at Andrews. My dorm suite mate at the time gave me this book. He's like, "Hey man, I think you should read this. This is cool." And me being, cocky little 24-year-old guy, I was like, "I don't need that. What's this?" I just bought my brand new car. I was really cool at the time, doing all this and that. And I read this book, and I read it in 2 days. And both those days I was reading it, I literally couldn't sleep because my brain could not shut off. And thinking back now, 6-7 years ago, man, what would have happened if I started reading that much earlier?
Kyle.
Because my brain not
see how many people we can jam in here at the end of the stream. How you doing, Kyle?
Good. I don't know if you guys can hear me all right.
I can hear you fine, man. Thanks for popping on.
There's an echo
I got
somewhere.
your screen going at the same time. Let me kill this. There we go. Sorry about that. I hope
There we go.
No, you're good. Man. Thanks for popping on, Kyle, for sure. Hey, and thanks for all the videos, man. I don't know. My average view time, I have nothing but loyalists who stick around in the last 10 minutes of this live stream for sure. But I'll give you the opportunity, man. I just want you to throw out there whatever you need. I get about 1,000 views on these after they go live to YouTube. Tell us what you're about, man. I've been catching your content. I like it. You've said a few things that's really caught my attention, and it's pretty dang legit. So I don't feel like I've known you that long, but floor's yours, man. Tear it up.
Oh, no, I really appreciate it. I actually literally just got home. I was just watching you when I was out, and I was like, if I get home in time, maybe we'll try and jump on. So awesome. It's a bit of a rush here. But, so I know Hidden Freedom's been floating around for a while. I'm not too familiar with Money Matters there, so it's good to finally meet you guys. I know I briefly chatted with Independent Investor before my internet died, and I'm running off Wi-Fi right now, so I'm hoping we don't run into the same issue. But I'm more or less looking for advice from you guys, man, because you guys have probably a little bit more experience than I do, so I still love just absorbing it all and just taking it all in. I don't know specifically what videos you watch because I post way too many, but you were just saying, what's your watch time? I'm sure people would be interested.
on these live streams, they run about 25 minutes, which is actually pretty good.
Now, what about your individual videos?
Individual videos. So I make too long of videos. And so the average, I mean, 7 to 8 is the magic. If you can get it 6 to 9 minutes, anywhere in that range, you're going to be in the sweet spot. I've tried to do that. You could probably do it with your style, but with my style, it's hard to do, man. It really is.
I think I'm averaging like 450 5-minute mark, but I just learned that you want to make those videos 10-minute long, because after I've learned once you get the AdSense going, man, and you start placing the individual ads, like your revenue just doubles immediately.
Yeah.
I think Matt was talking about it a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't even think about it, so I started trying that. But they only let you do it on 10-minute minimum videos, but I don't like kind of just making them 10 minutes. I'm trying to do longer content like you guys with the live streams, but yeah. So, anyways, you guys have any questions? Because I wouldn't mind getting to know independent investor a little bit better. I gotta catch up on Hidden Freedom's videos there.
We were just talking about some of the mistakes we've made. Dave brought it up, and one thing that caught my mind was when you were talking about that loan that you took out earlier on. And it freaking jarred your life, man. You were like, I'm not ever going back to that. I was like, that's a pretty cool thing to say. It's funny what resonates with people, what they pick up on. That's what I picked up on. Obviously, your ability to grow wealth is certainly impressive. I think for people who are watching it and take it from a testimonial perspective, I think people look at it, and I don't know how old you are, but I'm I'm
only 27. I'm just a year younger than Matt, but
crazy cool.
No, on that note, yes, no, I'm. How old are you guys? I know I've heard your age. You guys were briefly talking about this. Actually, I remember when I was
22. I look like I'm 27, but I'm 42.
I'm 44. I didn't even join the military until I was 27. So I'm 30.
Same. Yep.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, no, the loan thing's interesting, but I just lost my train of thought here. Sorry, I'm still rattled from running back here to try and get on this. But yeah, no, just the experience aspect of it, because I'm still pretty fresh, and I've just been fortunate enough to capture that this crazy run that we're in, because it seems like you could just throw money anywhere and not screw up lately. But again, with the mistakes, because when I got into investing, like I made way more mistakes than just taking out like a $20,000 loan. I was just glad I didn't have any money to cover any big errors. So you kind of got to want to learn while you're small. But
how do you feel?
But yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to.
How do you feel like your exposure is at right now, Kyle? Are you comfortable with where you're at? You're so young. You got hit with this question Wednesday, and you were like, "Oh, I'm ready."
Yeah, no. I like keeping my exposure really small, just because I'm picking individual stocks, and obviously they don't all do too well. I got one in there that's not doing too good, but I still, for my own personal reasons, I'll keep the company and add a bit more to it just to keep cost averaging. But at the end of the day, if you're obviously like you guys, I don't know how, because I think you're a little bit more spread out than I am. I only just started buying index funds, but honestly, just because I'm still young anyways, I'd rather take on the exposed risk and just try and do it as intelligently as possible. And then hopefully get the scale over time, because I've just noticed like my average rate of return continues. So for as long as I continue to outperform the S&P, I'll keep doing it. But if it starts to falter like consistently over a couple of years, I just plan back into the S&P and just forget about it. Yeah. But I mean, for as long as it's working out and the dividend payments are growing and you keep getting the capital growth with it, I mean, why stop, right?
Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. At 27 with the portfolio that you're working on, all you got to do is lean on it right now. I mean, you're set up. I mean, you could be looking at 8 figures, in retirement if you stayed true with your program. I don't know, getting it through the 7-figure mark and hitting 8K, that's going to be interesting to watch and keep it exposed to the market. But
yeah, the problem that I'm having though is you still have to be able to live your life, right? Like when I started doing this at 23, like I knew I had a window, and I'm still playing within my window because I'm still just being a minimalist living at home with my parents, right? Which is substantially cheaper. I have other expenses that are pretty high though, because I have to drive to work, and I could be an hour or two wherever I'm going. Yeah. Like tomorrow I got to go an hour somewhere. My car's already screwing up, so I got to go borrow one. It's just all those expenses. But at the same time, like I've never put huge money away. I'm only maybe 500 to 1,000 a month. If I averaged it out, I've always have a big dilemma trying to figure this out because I've switched accounts so many times. And I learned about a TFSA, and here in Canada, all the registered accounts.
You're in Canada.
Yeah, you go. Only just this year, I mean, I found out about foreign currency, because I was buying stocks in Canadian dollars, like US positions. Yeah. When you get that drip payout, all those dividends have to get reconverted back to CAD. And you end up getting slapped with these conversion fees on every single dividend. And even on the reinvestment, it was so literally like just stupid. And I was doing it for years. And one of these awesome guys that I met on YouTube were just like, yo, what is wrong with you? Like, stop doing that. And I'm like, oh, you're right. So,
Probably a piece of free advice, man, that'll pay you the rest of your life, you know?
Yeah. So that window will run out. Like, I'm hoping that I'll be able to move out with my girlfriend, and we'll be able to, she's on kind of the same term. So she's really good with saving money and just kind of getting on the investment path of things. So hopefully that'll make it a lot easier and convenient for the both of us. But at the same time, like, I'm really living below like standards here. Like, I couldn't imagine, I was just joking about this before, like I pretty much like operate in a cubicle still. I debate on getting an office, but the problem is I live so far out in the middle of nowhere, I can't just go do a rental space.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh man, how much longer can I put up with it before my my head explodes, right? But do you have any kids?
I do. I've got 2. Yep.
Oh, you got 2 little ones. How old?
Boy and a girl. Yeah. My daughter's 12. My son's 8.
Oh, wow. Interesting age. Interesting age.
Yeah. And my wife is from Eastern Europe, so we go back there quite a bit. So.
Oh, wow. So you get to travel a little bit as well.
Czech Republic. Yep. For sure.
So just to shift away a little bit, because I feel like I want to hear a little bit from Money Matters and Hidden Freedom as well. So I don't know that much about Money Matters, but I don't really want to start tangenting off the stuff you've already talked about. But what's your investment philosophies?
Well, I follow the FIRE movement a lot here, so it's probably what a lot of my videos are about, trying to retire early. You know, a lot of the guys in this group or even in the chat that's in the dividend stocks, kind of like long-term wealth creation. Some people, like this guy, fortunate enough to be financially independent already, but you know, I'm in the military also, so you know, working for pensions and stuff like that. So just being financially sound. And I'm not on here to, you know, tell anybody, hey, this is how you day trade and make $1 million in a day. So talking about, and it's what a lot of, you know, Ryan preaches this a lot, is just making good financial choices that, you know, the majority of people can make, and the majority of people can create wealth over a long period of time. And it's just, we were talking about this earlier before you hopped on here. And it's just like, this is a community that we have here that anybody can lean on each other when you have that uncertainty or that doubt in yourself, because investing is all about doubting yourself. And then do you talk yourself out of it, or do you convince yourself that you're crazy and you're trying to do something like, you know, we talked about becoming a black sheep earlier. So just staying the true course over amount of time. Dave was talking about earlier, I've got about 10 and a half years before I'm planning to retire early. So 41 is my goal, man. So you're at 27, you said. I'm at 30.
That's impressive, man.
I'm out of my league.
Punching out.
Freaking right, man.
Well, plus you're in the Army too, right? So I mean, that probably helps with a lot of the expenses, and plus you're serving, and like you said, with the pension and everything, because those are the benefits I don't get working for myself, which is, you know, the best thing ever here, because you guys have all the similar stuff, like a 401k match or something like that. Because I mean,
it's a lot, man. It's a lot, but you've got roommates. We call them roommates. You know,
not proud of that, but I don't like lying, so I'm like, you know what, I'm just hustling hard. I've done really well with some stuff, and I'm like, you know what,
take advantage of it, man.
Dave Ramsey wouldn't approve though. Let's not get Dave Ramsey on the call, right? But yeah, I don't know how I feel bad for a lot of kids though, man. Today, a lot of my friends, student loans, 30K in debt, you know, they don't even realize how hard it is to even afford a house here in Canada. Is absolutely absurd. Because I was always joking that if I went down to Florida, I would already own property, because you can pick up homes in decent neighborhoods for
sure.
200. Sure. Even in the neighborhood I live in, which is in the middle of nowhere, $500,000 if you're lucky starting. It's slowly coming down a bit, but you can't get duplexes or anything for, you know, anything under $500,000, and that's not good property. But I don't know. So dividends are the way to go for now.
Dude, just move to Thailand. So we're talking about.
You should talk to Matt. That's what Matt says all the time, man. He's trying to figure out what he wants to do, and he debated on living in Thailand or something for a few years.
Dude, we'll just get a pad. We'll call it a nomad pad. Everybody just rent a room or two. We'll all pay like $80 a month.
Yep.
And we'll just retire, you know, at 28, or, you know.
Yeah.
Ryan's 22 years old, so, you know, he's still young.
Now, I got a quick question for you, because you guys are all doing YouTube and stuff, but it's something that I like to talk about a lot as well, which is, do you guys look beyond the stock market for any other sources of passive income? Just getting those passive income streams coming in, because too many people are focused heavily on like real estate. So it's, because obviously the YouTube channel really helps, because this is incredible, because even when I'm out, I'm always looking at the views coming in, and it's just it's like you guys leaning on the community, and just there's a big niche here. So there's still a decent hole to fill, but what else are you guys involved in?
Dave?
Probably mostly just real estate and stocks.
Yeah, I remember
Fundrise and real estate notes, and had rentals and flip houses. But YouTube is just a really, really small amount of money. I don't know if, for me, it is anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you gotta. It takes time, right? I don't know how long you guys have been running your channels for. Because when I got into this, they said don't expect a paycheck for a year and a half, and then expect it to be 3 years before you're making at least a half decent income.
Right.
Look at it from my perspective. I've watched a few guys like Ryan Scribner, we started at the same time, and here I am with 20,000, and he sprinted ahead of me. He's at 500,000 subscribers now, running a multi-million-dollar
crazy
business. I think the crazy keep it, and the thing about it is, for me, but people who know that tune into my channel, I think if you look at YouTube like an opportunity that you can start a business with very little overhead with unlimited upside potential, that was very attractive to me. So whether or not it happens next week or next year or 5 years from now, I could really care less, because it's changing the way we think about starting a business at a strip mall and having a $2,000 overhead rent and have to sell a bunch of crap to people from products that you put on a shelf, which is absurd to me. My mind doesn't work that way. So yeah, even though you're making I'm making an interesting income right now, enough to raise my eyebrow, the side hustle for me. This is not my main job. My main job is my bread and butter, but this is
a passion too, right? So it's a passion, and it doesn't really even seem like a job, right?
It's my work. You enjoy it.
But I will offer this. I would certainly, my influence with Scribner, he's big into affiliate marketing. And I would say that there's opportunity there to leverage even a small channel with some affiliate opportunity. Just make sure, my only caveat to that is to make sure that you're 100% on board with believing in the product that you're advocating for. In my particular case, it's a couple brokerage accounts. And I've said earlier on in this stream that a couple of those brokers, with the leveling in the playing field, some of the major brokers, doing what they're doing, share purchases, unlimited free trades. Merrill Edge just dropped a free trading today. It's some of those discount brokers have lost its luster. But I've done quite well with that affiliate program. So people come on and they want to find a low cost option like an M1 Finance. They get turned on to that product, and they don't end supporting your channel that way. It has nothing to do with YouTube. If you're going to rely on YouTube to make you rich, you may be disappointed. And I think most of the big channels would say that too. But I've seen the guys like Nate O'Brien grow over time. I've seen Ollie's World of Finance really take off. Some of the bigger channels, and those guys are really good. They're really good. That's what I would say, just to help you out. We can talk more offline, certainly, and I can help you. I just think, you being part of the community, you're not going to have all the answers tonight, but I think that's the beauty of it, is that, maybe help. And that's the reason I'm doing this, is to kind of help us grow as a community. I wouldn't do this if I didn't really respect a lot of the folks that I've got to know, because, again, when I started 3 years ago, there wasn't a lot of us. There really wasn't.
No, it's that was some more of the glory days, right? But I wasn't running a good YouTube channel back then. I used to do all the magic videos, but that stuff got so flagged by YouTube back in the day. I lost so many videos on the first purge, and it was a nightmare. But speaking outside of just the stock market in general, like, there's so many easy ways. Because like me and Matt partnered and we started that website, but he's got some really good stuff. But I'm watching like a lot of people like Alex Becker and stuff like that, just because I love just online world so much, and just how many different platforms there are to try and start building like multiple sources of income, just beyond YouTube, because you can build the same revenue streams with blogs and all kinds of different stuff, right? Like there's so many different avenues. Me and Matt have been finally getting some okay income, like maybe an extra $50 or $100 a month each off just the website we launched. But he has some pretty good, he's got some pretty good products, but it really matches with the YouTube income, right? But I think it's just so easy, man, to branch. It's easier than it's ever been, right? So I'm trying to focus just as much on YouTube as some of the online realm, and just start working on some multiple websites and see if you can just start compounding like the ad revenue, maybe look into some Amazon FBA.
I tried Amazon FBA, and it took a year to sell out of 100 units, and
Same experience.
I didn't really give up on it, but it's just, you know, I learned. I'm like, okay, I got my money back, and maybe it's not for me. And but you know, I'd like to kind of venture off, try things, you know, see if I can be successful at it. But it is tough.
Do you guys ever consider just buying pre-built businesses?
Like on Empire Flippers or something like that? Or
not? I've
looked at things, but you know, you go look at their store, and you look at the products, and you look at the history on it, and it's like there's always something that's questionable about it, right? Like, why is somebody getting rid of something that makes, you know, 10 grand a month, right? So
yeah, well, it's the same problem you're going to have with any business you're buying, right? But it's such a smaller end scale, and the value of these businesses are going up faster than real estate is, just because the rate of return is still unbelievably high. You got to remember, like 3 or 4 years ago, you could have been buying online businesses for like 1.5x, and now it's 3.5x in just such a short amount of time, right? So what a lot of these guys are doing is they're buying like pre-built businesses that already have it and just building the funnels out. You know, they take a business that's worth $50K that's maybe making, you know, $1,000 a month, build it to $2K, flip it for $100,000, and they're just like spitting these out. But I keep watching the new auctions that come up, and if they're like reasonable businesses, and I'm like, I'd be interested in this, in the same heartbeat, it's already gone. Because I feel like there's the best value. I'm still thinking is the midsection range. So I was debating on whether I would throw some of my own capital in and see if I could find other investors that would be like familiar with just the idea of diversifying away from, you know, real estate and the stock market, and try and focus on the world that's coming rapidly. That's people just don't grasp why Amazon, you know, Facebook are worth billions, because they're helping people make billions selling products, right? So it's the guys that I deal with mainly just focus on like jump in, buy a business, find the right one. Or the idea is to buy a few multiple businesses and get good managers and try and diversify the pot. So you're not just doing Amazon. You try and find some decent products, maybe do some affiliate websites, and just try and get a combo of them. So that's what me and Matt are kind of experimenting with, because I kind of just want to get my fingers really deep into the whole back end of Google with like Google Trends and Google Console, and just trying to figure out how ranking works properly. And once I kind of, you know, I figure once you can get in there and you're happy with it.
You're probably a good one for me, Kyle. Trust me. It's pretty. I've been trying for 3 years and I still haven't broke the code. That's what probably that deliberation is probably why I've got such a loyal audience, you know? And that kind of speaks to, you know, growing your channel super fast has its benefits. But you know, you've got a great message, and you're going to have people that tune into the channel for no other reason because they relate to you. I know there's some pretty good power there. And I think building the multiple platforms, you know, getting your Instagram up and going, getting your Facebook presence up and going, you know, getting your Twitter. I mean, that's a sacrificial lamb for me, to be honest with you. I don't like the platform at all, but I do have it. And you know,
that's what my girlfriend keeps hounding me about all the time, because she's like, I'll run your Instagram if you just start one. But I've had a lot of bad luck. I still run a Facebook page for my magic stuff that does okay, but I mainly focus on just the YouTube stuff right now. But you're right, like maybe I might be better off just kind of putting stuff aside. Lately, I've just been kind of core focusing the YouTube, but I just, like you said, I just don't know how far this is going to branch, and whether I should maybe try multiple accounts, try some different content. I just, when I rolled into this niche though, like I just couldn't get over, you know, what a good niche it is, because there's hardly any backlash. Like we're really not running into trolls, because I come from the world of trolls. And like I love stock quits, I love trolling around on forums, but it gets pretty aggressive back in the day. I've kind of leaned out of that a little bit, but at the same time, it's like I can't get over how like nobody, aside from the trolling forums, no one has the balls to come on and like, you know, talk aggressively or like shout their opinions at you. And if they do it in the comment section. And I find when I actually talk to them, man, I'm just becoming your friend because I just want to chat. It's so weird, man, because I used to do like just a magic channel. My magic, we were doing an online show on Facebook like probably 4 or 5 years ago, and I managed to generate about 1.5 million in views. I built a decent small page before I kind of cut off from doing it, but it was so aggressive. Like everyone's a critic, everyone has an opinion, and if you comment back, they just lash you. Whereas in the real world, like performing shows, you don't run into that. People are a little bit less tame. But I don't know. Have you guys? I mean, when me and Matt were last streaming, I think you were on where you hit freedom. We had that one kid come on. That's the first thing I've seen so far.
Yeah. I did come on later.
Yeah. Was there some hate that night?
Oh yes.
No kidding, huh? I'll have to rewatch it. I tuned out. I had to hit the.
That was crazy. Yeah, I mean, it was sad too. It was just crazy. I can't believe somebody would do that.
Yeah, I know, because he was in the Army too. You know, the guy he's going to get married and all this stuff, and this kid comes on, and he's just like, I can't get over. I don't know, especially because his face is on it. That's the worst thing, right? It's like if he was just a mic, I get it, but his face was on it.
Dude,
and it's like we can just take
it.
this and like slander you across the internet or do whatever, right? It's just
some of that stuff has a recipe to go viral, though. You know, a lot of people have an appetite for that. I'm not one of them. I can't stand it, to be honest with you. I got a little bit this week, and I wrote like a dissertation in a reply, you know, and he got to me. He did what he wanted to do, you know, and he was like, "You're probably going to remove this," and I didn't. I pinned it to the top of the video, you know. So I don't have that kind of time to devote to that type of activity. You know what I'm saying? I spend my time coming on, throwing my message out there. But you know, you're 27, man. When I was your age, I wanted to grow the world quick. I guess the older I get, the more I want to focus on the quality, you know, in the growth. And that's what I would say to you is just, you know, try to be patient in an environment that you can't really be patient in, because there's so much opportunity. But there's a lot of benefit, man. I put a lot of benefit in the networking of the people that I meet through this. It just makes me a better stock investor, makes me a better analyzer. I think we've got the best YouTube channel as far as I'm concerned on YouTube. Gen X Dividend Investor is one of them. And he doesn't do collaborations yet, but that guy's legit. That's how you do it. That is how you analyze stock. And
he's hardcore.
That you know, and it's awesome because you're getting that content free of charge. Straight up.
He works 24/7 on those videos pretty much. So
hell yeah. People who are creating content, you know, can really appreciate how much time's going into that. And again, I've told him, I was like, I kind of feel guilty watching it for free because it's
I know, right?
It's like,
isn't
dude,
it wild?
To throw in like $20 or something on it because it's just legit. But you know, look at him. He hasn't been around that long, but over 1,000 subscribers. I think he'll be a million channel someday. It'd be awesome to say, hey, you know, we knew that he's part of our network and you know, grow a little bit. What if we all had some net worth to actually throw on some projects that you're talking about, Kyle? Because you're talking about swimming in a pond that I just think you need to be a player. And I don't think, and Dave, you can speak to this more than I can, but you know, real estate, you know, you got to be a player. I've invested in real estate and I've done quite well. But it's not like this, okay? And it sure as hell ain't like stock investing either. Anybody can push two buttons and buy and sell a stock, but real estate carries with it a lot more overhead and risk.
It's definitely not as passive as much as people think it is either.
Yeah, managing tenants, that's never easy, especially if you're doing it yourself. That can get dirty real fast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ever evicted people? That's not fun. Kyle, I got a question for you, man. How come you haven't like leveraged what you're passionate about? It says like magic or whatever you're doing. Why not have your girlfriend leverage an Instagram account and, you know, do all these different types of platforms with the same one topic that you're doing, whether it be magic and just, you know, say you have a YouTube channel on financial stuff. Why not have a blog preaching the same exact message, like literally the same exact stuff you just talked about in a video? Have a blog that for people that don't watch YouTube to get the AdSense off of that type of thing. You can literally leverage the same amount of work over different types of platforms to reach different types of viewers. You know what I mean? Like if Gen X, for example here, was to take a quarter of his video and put it on YouTube, and for the last 3 quarters, go hit up a Patreon account because you love his content. Same amount of work, 2 income sources, one from YouTube, one from Patreon. You get what I'm saying there? Like,
yeah,
quality content, which we all know he does, and I can't say his name because nobody knows his name. Gen X is his name.
I just call him Gen X.
Yeah, that's what I call him.
Maybe his name is Gene. Like,
he's like Matt before he revealed his job. But this is way more. He's way more. You know, masked.
But yeah, I don't know, man. Like that's just something I know. I hear you talking about all these different options.
Yeah.
There's so many ways to leverage one idea. You know what I mean? You get paid 4 times off of one idea.
So, yeah, no, I completely agree. And that's some of the venues we're trying to work our way out into. Right now, we're already doing some blogs because me and Matt have kind of just split the work up because it's just trying to leverage time. And I'm trying to get to the point where I can start leveraging other people's time Because right now, like I've stretched myself. Like every second, I pretty much look at like right now, right? Like the second I get a chance, I'm just trying to keep it going. But I'm just trying to figure out where I should be focusing most of my attention, and then start trying to find better ways of leveraging. Because I've like I said, I've done a lot with Instagram and Facebook. I experienced a lot of issues. It's always so much more less. I have more friction with it, and I've used like the ads. I've done a lot of different stuff with it. But at the same time, like I want to do everything. If it's best going to leverage my time, then I'd rather be doing all of it. But again, it's so hard to do like a proper YouTube channel and a proper Facebook channel. And it's like usually you just want to pick one or two and start hammering on it. And then once it starts going, then maybe try and, start getting a pattern. But I still haven't figured out my YouTube pattern yet. Like I'm trying to turn this into somewhat of a show. Like imagine you guys are, right? So you want to find some content that works and, schedule it out like 3 days a week. Because right now I'm just trying to get my videos out there, get some ranked videos, get some views rolling in, and then kind of start focusing on what I actually want to be doing with this. But
I'm still looking for my first viral video, Kyle. So
what's your most
I've got
video?
400. Every video I put out, I have every single subscriber I have watch it, and that's it. But
yeah, what's your most viewed video?
It's the index fund versus ETFs. From Vanguard. That was a big question. A lot of people have looked to springboard off of that topic for sure, but it's 50,000 views.
Oh, nice.
And
is it still rolling? Is it still generating?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. It's by far the biggest generator. But I will say right now, with the bulk of content that I have right now, it's rolling pretty steady every month, so it's pretty predictable. If you only have 20 videos online, that's not the bulk I'm talking about. I mean, I do have 400 videos, and people come on new and they'll kick back and watch the very first video that I put on. Some people will go watch that first content because I'm the same person. It's just kind of cool because that original content, there's some value there. People want to know kind of where you started. They want to know that you went through the trenches. I feel the same about you, right? You got your black cloth in the background, right? That's what I'm talking about. It's the hard knocks mentality. People want to like, hey, I viewed this guy when he just started out. It's kind of cool. But
if I can shoot a little bit of a tip, because I would rather have less of a viral vid and more of a ranked video. You can find those search terms. I don't know how much you guys like mess around with like Google Trends or anything, but if you can just catch a trend, like that's how you're going to get a decent viral video. Like I did a video on Tesla when they were live streaming the Cybertruck release, and I knew I had to get video of it up first because if I could just rank on the highlight reel, it would pop. And sure enough, like I posted it at like I think it was like midnight or 1 a.m. And the next morning, it already had like 5,000 views, and now it's at about 17. But I don't like that way of video because it's too high paced. The ad revenue is usually not as good. I'd rather get the videos that you probably have on the back end that have some kind of ranking on a certain term. It's just being underutilized, and you've done a better job than everybody else at kind of ranking, just obviously doing this, the details and everything. But I'd rather have that because I have videos that are constantly streaming in views every single month, and every time I get another hit with a good search term, all of a sudden, boom, it just adds to the pile, and you just want to, once you get that ball rolling, it's like you said, like you get that consistent income, and you're probably getting it from the new viewers, old viewers, and those ranks.
I've taken a month off, Kyle, and the revenue stays the same. So
that's what you want to see.
And I'm not going to tell you nobody has the right or wrong answer as far as the analytics, etc. It's all a big mystery, but I can just tell you right, wrong, or indifferent. That's what's kind of worked for me. And making money on YouTube has really never been my sole motivator. Okay. I mean, I've turned down a lot of collaborations, a lot of business deals, I've turned down a lot. I don't do Patreon for that very reason, because I don't want a tip jar in front of my channel. That's just the way I feel. I don't want to, if the intent of my message is to save investors money, it's counterproductive for me to come on and offer a product for my own personal gain. I've always thought stock market courses fell into that category. I don't need your $1,000 for you to pay me for information that I feel like you can find online free of charge. It's just never sat well.
Your message is totally different, Ryan. That's why your purpose for getting on a platform like YouTube is not to generate wealth. Like you're trying to get a message to people And the cherry on top is that, Google pays you on the back end because you've reached enough customers or subscribers out there. Like your sole motivating purpose was to teach people what you have learned in your lifetime about investing and about how to become financially independent. And like that wasn't your intention, was not to create another income source, but it just happened to happen along the way. And now
I just think there's a real niche of truth to that. I don't know if you can speak to it, Dave, for sure, but I mean, I can just, it seems like you enjoy YouTube, Kyle. When I watch you, I mean, you're a super high energy dude.
Yeah,
I'm not. Like that will relate with.
I'm not either.
Dave's a bundle of energy. I don't know how the hell you do it, man.
That's been my job though for 10 years, man. I gotta go and do an hour show tomorrow. It's just I get up on stage, whatever, and I'm solid energy for an hour. But it's so easy. Like I said, I used to do a whole nother show, man. You just get used to yelling at the camera, but you want to yell something that matters.
I'm always look, if you can leverage that. My thing is, I always focus on, what your impact is. Okay. So if you come onto YouTube and you're super high energy and you're just tearing it up, how are you received by your audience? Do people come to your channel and they say, holy crap, look at this.
Analytics will show you.
Excited about money, which is typically a pretty boring topic, or when people come to my channel and with my delivery, they're like, man, I want to look more into this. I think we're both getting somewhere, but our delivery is so different. I think there's a common thread there.
I want to backpedal just a little bit because I'm a bit more of a Kevin O'Leary fan on that aspect of it, and I'm more in it for the business aspect of it too. But I kind of try and find the balance of both because I understand that you don't love doing. Obviously, like there has to be a passion behind it to even make it worth it. But at the same time, like if I'm dedicating X amount of hours to it, I want to see some goals get hit along the way. And if they don't, you kind of got to get the mantra of maybe I should take it out to the barn and shoot it, right? I mean, I'm glad that I can help people, but I can only offer so much free advice. And the same thing with the courses, though. I've seen a lot of fake courses, like you're saying too, that are really annoying and overpriced. But I honestly think that, because me and Matt launched that course, but to me, it's not like somebody like you would be buying it. I want somebody that wants somebody to be walked through how to set the accounts up. It's different from Canadian to US to have, almost like that financial advisor, but entertainment purposes only, right? I don't know. I try and do it honestly. So I'll just kind of hitting me on the honest. And it took me a long time just to be, how do you say? Because I don't know how long it took you. If I'm not cutting out, but I'm just wondering how long it took you guys to become comfortable talking about finance, because it took me a long time, because I grew up in a small town where it was like, keep cash, hide it from the government. And now all of a sudden I'm like opposite, like show the government, defer the income. What did you guys find some like path to this, or what ended up was the light bulb?
I'll let you guys go.
I mean, I've got
go ahead, Jamie.
I'll start. I've got the least investing experience out of all three of these guys here, at least. But you can speak from your mistakes, and that's a good teacher right there for yourself and for everybody else too. If you make mistakes along the way, I've chalked those up to learning experiences, and I've definitely shared those with a lot of people out there. And we were talking about it earlier in this video. We've been in a 10-year bull market, so anywhere, and you said it. The first thing you said in this video is you pop into the market and you put money anywhere. It just depends on how much of return you're going to get, because you can almost not put your money in a bad spot right now. So, for me, it has not been hard to invest right now or hard to talk about it, because it's hard to screw up right now. There's very few companies that are just diving when everything else is going up right now. But, a lot of us are dividend investors in here too. So you can talk about creating passive income. I mean, your channel name is Passive Income. When people can see that, and it shows progression and it shows positive success, and that you're actually achieving milestones along the way, like that makes it a lot easier to talk about. It feels like you're hitting goals along the way. You're not just like some far-fetched goal 20 years down the road. Like, I wonder if I'll get there. But if you're like, hey, I got there this year. I got there this year. I got there this 6 months. It makes it easy to talk about, because you're doing something right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess it's trying to avoid being I'm trying to keep it fresh, because you don't want to run into that dividend grinder phase where you start burning out.
Definitely. I mean, you nailed it like 5 minutes ago. You said the one word. I think you were reading my mind. In talking about having YouTube as a business, or something else to do. What connects in the middle is passion, and that's what I think everybody in all four of these corners right here, we all have passion for what we're doing. And that's one of my driving factors of creating a YouTube channel, is because no matter who I talk to, whether it's online or in person, somehow I always find myself talking about some type of financial matter. And I'm like, dang, like this person I'm talking to probably has no idea what I'm talking about, or they don't want to talk about it at all. But here I am talking about it because I always end up talking about it. Like, I don't know what it is. I just have a passion for it. And so that's why coming onto a platform like this, where I can talk to other like-minded individuals, it just becomes easier, and you get more confidence, and you're like, you know what? We're just going to full send it. Like, we're just going to go. You know what I mean? If all I get is thumbs down, who cares? Like, we're going to keep going and grinding. And like, when you have a passion for it, it's not like, will I be accepted? It's just like, I'm just going to do it because
I've said many times that I'm not going anywhere.
Exactly. Hearsay, baby. Hearsay.
I feel like we'll be here for a while. But Hidden Freedom Investing, what got? Did you have any weird path that took you down this rabbit hole?
Not really. I've kind of dabbled in so many different things, and I've failed at some things, and that kind of just got me where I am today. You know, I did try Forex.
Yeah, I don't mean to cut you off there. Oh, there we go. Is that a mic? What's causing that?
This?
Am I the only one hearing feedback?
Yeah, no, I'm getting feedback too.
Yeah, I'm getting.
I don't hear any feedback.
I muted my mic, and I don't think it was me.
Let me turn this down and see if it's.
Try to mute it.
Maybe I'm talking too loud.
No, it came on before you started talking. I don't know if it's.
Audio is the worst, man.
Oh. Here, let me
Me.
see if it stops when I mute myself here. If it's gonna let me mute myself here. When's the
Hey, it's all good. I think we should probably look to wrap it up, though, guys. Seriously.
Yeah, I got to get that whole paycheck before they close. I do appreciate you guys, and Ryan sending out that request. I, never actually talked to you, and I hit you up in the comments and all that. But I do appreciate the opportunity. So
Absolutely, nice to put a face with the name, man. For all you guys, for sure, man. It was awesome. This is kind of an experiment, and I'm going to continue to roll it out this way. I like this format a lot. So you guys have a happy holiday, man, for sure. If you guys want to I'm going to start to pull guys out of here because this is annoying, and I don't want to irritate the group here. But
for sure,
thank everybody for sure for making your way on here. Now it's solved.
freedom investing.
Yeah, now
that's weird. I don't know why I started doing that all of a sudden.
I wanted to hear the rest of your story, man.
I know, me too, right? I don't
want to cut you off. Now you can't even use the mic.
Kyle, do a live stream. I'll join you.
Yeah. Maybe. What are you up to? Maybe on Sunday there. I'll have to catch you a little bit later on. I don't know about tonight. Tonight's getting a little late already. I got a few other things I want to finish up.
Cool, anybody can kind of come and pop in here. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be planned. Like, I didn't.
Yeah.
Tonight.
Yeah, I rolled this out just to test it on the channel creator side, but I actually envision bringing subscribers in that actually want to have multiple channel creators to throw questions at. That's kind of what I envision with this project, because I was getting a little bit stale with the one-on-one of the live stream. I just felt like I couldn't engage as well as I wanted to in the community. This possibility, I'm feeling it out a little bit. Good on me for taking a little strategic risk on it. But I'm super stoked, man. I'm super stoked you guys help me out and come on here. Hopefully it helps promote the channel. I know it's a grind right now, man. There's a lot of channels on YouTube right now. And I think it'll probably require a little bit of grinding, a lot of exposure, a lot of networking. So I think you guys are probably doing what you need to do just to kind of build the network up a little bit. I think that's going to be imperative for everybody.
No, I think the number one thing about YouTube in general is just the network, man. Like, I think it's incredible how, like, when I decided to start this a year ago, all of a sudden, like, I got invited to do like the Stock Twits conference, and then I also got, like, I met Matt. Like, Matt was just an off conversation in a comment section, and all of a sudden he said he was coming to Toronto, and we just met up. Now we're just running a website together. It's crazy to me how fast you start seeing that compound effect. But I would really love to learn more from you. So I'm going to make sure I got all your guys' channels a little bit more linked up, and maybe I'll put them up on my featured channels just so I have all you guys. It'd be nice to actually keep up with the people that are trying to further engage and see if we can even help.
Yep.
But we'll have to catch Dave in a little bit when his his mic finally starts working better.
Absolutely.
Like, dude, don't be so cheap.
This is expensive.
Mine's expensive for sure. Yeah. You wanna sign off, Dave, real quick? I'll start to pare this back a little bit.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, Ryan, Kyle,
Anytime,
Jamie. Nice to meet you guys.
Have a
And
great holiday, man, for sure.
Happy holidays.
Absolutely.
We'll see you guys later.
We'll bounce out.
See everybody in
Appreciate
the
having you, Ryan.
chat.
Cool, man.
Good night, man.
Bye.
Cool. Jamie, thanks a lot for coming on. I really appreciate it. It's awesome. Put a face with the name for sure.
I appreciate you having me, man. I'll see you guys next time. I'll definitely be here next Friday.
Yep.
So,
We'll be here.
All right,
for sure.
We'll leave for maybe for next Friday then. But I'm Canadian, but thanks for your service, man. I love the hustle. It's got to be a tough.
man.
I've had a lot of people, Kyle, from Canada actually follow me for the last 3 years, man. Actually, my second biggest viewing pool later, Jamie. My second biggest viewing pool is actually from Canada. So
yeah, it seems to be.
I've done some direct contact with some folks. It's pretty legit, man. So
yeah.
But anyway, cool, man. Thanks for popping on, man. I know you're busy. You just ripped in here and threw down. I like that, man. It's awesome.
Yeah,
really
no,
appreciate it, Kyle. Thanks for the good work.
I can't wait to learn more from you, man. Yeah, appreciate you inviting me on here. Keep hustling, man. Stay awesome, bro. I'll talk to you in a bit.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. That's what it's about. Take easy, brother.
All right. Peace out.
All right, later. Hey, man. So, yeah, a little different format. I was kind of monitoring the thread tonight, certainly. A little bit longer tonight as an experiment. So this is a little bit of I got a lot of answers tonight on how I want to run this forum. I'm sold. I really like it a lot. This gives a lot of opportunity for multiple perspectives at the same time. I just think it allows me to sit back a little bit sometime and monitor and allow the conversation to generate the appropriate topic of discussion. And I think that crossfire of dialogue really renders a lot of takeaways. It really does. And hopefully you feel the same way. Certainly, I will take any comment in the comment section. Slight amount of strategic risk on my part. I really enjoy doing the live streams every Friday, absolutely. And I just appreciate the heck out of you guys for staying on a little extra tonight, helping support the mission for sure. Any suggestions that you might have, leave them in the thread, man. I do read those things. I'm extremely busy, but thank you again to the channel creators that have come on. Gen X, Dividend Investor, man, for sure. And he says my mic is too far away. It is. I got to lean down. But I turn the volume up. Thank you. Those little pieces I can incorporate for sure, and we can deliver as good a product as we possibly can. But stay tuned. Next Friday we'll be back for live stream 77, and have a great weekend, guys. Thank you so much for the support, and we will catch you next week. Thanks a lot. Take it easy.